Hi Aries, and welcome to your solar eclipse reading, which is going to look at the energies for you over the next 6 months between the end of April and around about October, November of 2022. So what I'm going to do is just a very simple spread. I'm going to choose I'm going to use the solar and the lunar illuminated playing cards to get a row each for solar and lunar energy, because obviously solar energy tends to be more masculine, outward directed and conscious, and lunar energy tends to be more inwardly directed, psychological and kind of feminine. So we're going to look at the combination of the two energies, and then I'm going to pull a solar card and a lunar card to get some advice for you, and if we need to clarify then we will. So it's kind of straightforward, and what I'm aiming to do is to pull like 3 cards that look at themes for you. So we're going to look at like personal development, and we're going to look at career, and we're going to look at love. So those are the 3 areas that I'm going to kind of focus on. So let's start first of all with the illuminated playing cards. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull you three cards for lunar. So you know, this can look at things like how do you feel about success? Are you self-sabotaging? What's going on for you in terms of your internal world with regards to relationships? So matters of the heart, and then also where do you feel yourself kind of shifting when it comes to maybe where you're kind of headed next on a personal development level. So we'll just see about that. So we'll do kind of self-development, we'll do career, and then love. So that will be the order in which I will draw the cards. And do remember that when I'm doing a reading for Aries, I'm really thinking about people who've got Aries rising, but it doesn't really matter too much because I'm not using houses in this particular spread. So, you know, even if you are Sun Aries and you want to then go and watch your kind of moon rising and Venus, just to sort of get some more information, about all means do. Okay, so let's cut the cards quickly. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to do 1 card for sort of like personal development, 1 card for career and sort of like fame and success, and then 1 card for kind of romance and matters of the heart. So this doesn't necessarily have to relate to like romance. It could also be family. So anyone who's like a loved one type of thing. But it's from your perspective. So it's how the eclipse can help you to sort of reset matters. Or lead to sort of surprise developments, you know, in those areas. So now we're going to do the solar, and as I said, the solar energy does tend to be a little bit more outwards focused. So it can be about events, it can be about people, like actors that come in and catalyze events for you. And equally, it could be about spiritual or sort of just things that come from the outside that you don't feel are sort of you. That you're not kind of driving the process. It's not an unconscious process. It's something coming from you, either sort of consciously or because of course with the moon we're talking about more unconscious or subconscious types of behavior, and with the sun it can be about more about intention setting, for example, for personal development. It can also be about like outward success in terms of your career. And obviously when it comes to relationships, it could be about like other people, or you know, how you interact with them, or maybe them potentially catalyzing something for you in your life. So same sort of order. Okay, I don't know why, but in my camera lens these look very skew. I think because I've got a fisheye lens, so things tend to look a little bit. Okay, now we're going to get some advice. So this is from the Splendor Solars deck. As I said, it's a little bit tricky to shuffle. First of all, the cards are very sticky, and secondly, the card that they've used is very thick, so it's actually quite difficult to shuffle them. They're quite stiff and they don't really combine well. But anyway, that one fell out, so I think we're going to take that. Oh, look, there's 2, or no, 3. No, we can't take all three, so I'm going to take the top one. Okay. Alright, and then we're going to do the same with the lunar deck. So this is the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck. Okay, well, that one wanted to come out, so we'll take that one. So as I said, just a short and sweet, kind of cute reading. If you do want something a little bit more in-depth and personal, then you can always order my Eclipse forecast, which is going to be individual, like personalized eclipse forecasts based on your individual chart. So they are going to be a bit more pricey than usual, but then you're getting the information that you're getting is like pertains only to you. All right, so let's have a look at the energy that we've got going on here. Be interesting to see if there are overlaps in the vertical between these two cards. So let's start with your personal energy here. So it's really interesting, because it does seem as though on a personal level in the external world, you are getting opportunities to move into a place of either wish fulfillment or happiness. And but what seems to be potentially tripping you up here is the Ace of Cups in reverse, which is in your kind of internal world. So it may be that on some level you need to be doing some work on like self-love and being able to open up and receive, because we've got the cup in reverse. So the cup is spilled, and that reminds me a lot of Rubaeus in the, I think it's Rubaeus, the empty cup. Let me just quickly have a look in my book to see which of the geomantic figures it is, because that might be important. But it's about a cup that's turned upside down, so that the contents spill out. It could be a missio. No, that's a purse. So it probably is Rubaeus. Let's have a quick look. Yes, a chalice turned upside down. So Rubaeus is, let me just see if I can find it quickly in my deck. Let's use the vintage one because it's got keywords sort of on it. Right, so Rubaeus. So I think Rubaeus is water. So I must just look for, so we've got Populus, Lightisha, Via. Yeah, okay, here we go. So this is the card for Rubaeus, and Rubaeus is Mars in Scorpio. And it's all about negative emotions. So it's about things like anger, jealousy, resentment, the stuff that eats up at us. And as I say, it's interesting that the image associated with it is a chalice turned upside down, which is exactly what this is. And of course, this is the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups isn't always necessarily about a fresh start from a kind of a romantic point of view, although it can be. It can also sometimes be about a lack of self-love. You know, that this is unconditional love kind of coming in. It's associated with the Grail Cup. And so the Grail myth might be important to you if you don't already know it. You know, there's the whole story about the Fisher King and how unhappy he was, and his land was kind of going to sort of like to seed, and it was like whatever happened to the Fisher King also was reflected in his surroundings in terms of his kingdom. And then along came Parsifal, the wise fool, and at some point during proceedings in the court, Parsifal sort of like reversed the question that was being asked by most people in the court, which was, who does the Grail serve? And he reversed it and said, who serves the Grail? And this kind of led to a light bulb moment, and the Fisher King suddenly realized that he'd been too focused on himself and on, like, you know, trying to gain things. So it's kind of me, which is very typical of our sort of narcissistic culture at the moment. And instead sort of like started to focus more on how he could serve as a leader. And it was so interesting because then his kind of kingdom, you know, kind of started to come alive again. And because the Grail, the feminine, the divine feminine, was working in concert with him and able to, so that things were, you know, back in balance again, basically. So that might be significant here. It could simply be that you are unhappy on some level, and that there may be a need to do some subconscious reprogramming during the next 6 months to help you to receive. Because here we've got the Nine of Cups, which is really, as I said, it's usually about wish fulfillment and about happiness, because it's 3 times 3, which is obviously 3 is the number of Jupiter. So to have thrice, you know, of the luckiest number is really, you know, to sort of like have your cup runneth over. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be about self-indulgence, and of course that could play into this idea of the Grail myth. But I mean, it does look as though there's enormous potential here. And I mean, given those Venus-Jupiter, that conjunction, which is part and parcel of this solar eclipse, it does seem as though there is enormous potential here for you to find personal happiness, to attain personal happiness during this 6-month period. But what you're going to need to work on is being able to receive, number one, and number two, also sort of working on filling your own cup first, if you like, internally, so that you feel gratitude and you are in a position to receive. And then in terms of career, really interesting energies again. So we've got the Knight of Swords here in the outer world, so the Jack of Spades, and then we've got the Star and the Seven of Pentacles as your sort of lunar energy. So from a kind of a lunar perspective, it looks to me as though there's some kind of healing going on here, or a restoration of faith or hope. So it could be that maybe your career hopes were dashed on some level, maybe due to sort of events linked to COVID. You know, for example, you know, I was due to have a book published in October of 2020, and as a result of COVID, the London Book Fair didn't really sort of go ahead, and my publishers ended up going bust, and my book was never published. So, you know, there can be sort of elements of that can end up being a little bit disheartening, and so it's possible that you need sort of like some sort of show of something from the universe that will help to restore your faith, that things can kind of work out long term. And it could be that you need to heal from some sort of disappointment, and that might also be why we've got this cup that is sort of upturned, if you like. So it could be that you're sort of still simmering with resentment over something that you feel was quite unfair in your life, that's kind of happened possibly in the last 6 months. But it could also, you know, pertain to the period from kind of you know, there may be links to this eclipse family. So you might want to watch my other eclipse forecast, where I look at dates for when this particular Taurus series had previous eclipses. I think 2004 was the last time that we had an eclipse in this series, so there might be a link to 2004. But I do see a lot of healing coming in for you, and I think that's really going to help to restore your hope and your faith in the future. And I think it's also with the Seven of Pentacles as this sort of double energy. The Seven of Pentacles is all about investing, and I think the investment here needs to be in yourself and in your future, and then having patience too, because, you know, Aries can be a little bit impatient. They do want immediate results, and sometimes, you know, we can plant seeds and they may take us several years to sort of to sort of come to fruition or to bear fruit. I mean, in this case, we are talking about a 6-month cycle. So I'm kind of surmising that really what we're talking about here is the time between now, when you can plant fresh seeds, and sort of October, November, when we get our next set of eclipses, and you know, this cycle comes to an end. So, you know, a sort of a 6 or so month period during which you can work on really sort of nurturing, you know, and that's a strong theme as well in terms of the Sabine symbol, is kind of planting seeds and then watering plants. So that kind of farming metaphor of investing in and sort of like taking care of something on a regular basis, nurturing a skill or a talent, you know, because we are talking here about career, nurturing a skill or a talent, or kind of applying yourself on a sort of a regular basis, or really approaching work with diligence and care, you know, wanting it to be the best it can be, and that this can really, you know, sort of bear fruit. Because in the external world, we've got this Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is interesting. It's similar in energy to Aquarius, because it moves very, very quickly. So it's the quickest of the air signs, and it can sometimes, the Knight can sometimes be a little bit impulsive. So he can sort of like speak without thinking. He can also perhaps make promises that he's not sure he can keep, or he can just sort of like go bumbling into a situation and maybe be a little bit sort of tactless or thoughtless, or make errors. And I think you know, the sort of the advice here is to sort of slow and steady wins the race. Consistency is what counts, not kind of fast in, fast out, like a bolt of lightning, you know, rather sort of taking your time with something, and keeping your eye on the prize. So keeping your eye on one goal and then working steadily and consistently towards it, like Taurus would. You know, Taurus is very slow and steady, and, you know, is good at routine and repetition, is very patient. And I think that, you know, that's the best way to sort of work with this energy in terms of your career. You know, the last thing you want to be is a flash in the pan, and that's certainly what the Knight can be. On a positive note, it could also be somebody like coming into your life very quickly, like with that Mercury or that Uranus energy, and sort of delivering a message, something that you need to hear, for example. I mean, it could be criticism, but it could steer you in the right direction in terms of where you're going wrong, and then you can spend your time sort of investing here. Or it could equally just be some kind of messenger coming in that is designed to sort of catalyze you, move you in a different direction, and maybe get you onto a slightly different path, or get you to see things from a different perspective. And that could really help your career. You know, maybe it's just like a small tweak on your CV or something could make like all the difference. And then when it comes to love and to matters of the heart, it's interesting that we've got the Queen of Cups as your lunar energy, because this is really in keeping with that sort of heart-based energy. You can see she's got a vase of flowers kind of covering her heart. And the Queen of Cups is very similar to its water energy. It's kind of, some people compare it to the sign of Cancer. You know, it's very caring, very intuitive, very sensitive, gentle, and very kind of compassionate. So this is someone who relates from the heart. So it could be a person, but I'm thinking more with this lunar energy that, I mean, it certainly could be a female, or it could be traits that you've picked up from a female relative, like a mother or a grandmother or an aunt or something. Equally, it could be like a love interest, so somebody who you feel a strong heart connection with, because here in the external world with the solar sort of deck, we've got the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is all about building and about kind of hopes for the future. So it's possible that you might sort of like be meeting or be sort of you might find a relationship moving in the right direction, and you feeling quite hopeful during this time that it's actually going to pan out well, that that this connection has some kind of future. Either that, or if it's like a family member or somebody that you feel a little bit hurt about, with this Ace of Cups in reverse, it could also be saying that things will improve over the next 6 months, and that by the end of this period you will certainly be feeling more optimistic about the relationship and the future of the relationship going forward. So let's look at your advice quickly. So your solar advice is Venus of Golden Earth, which is the Seven of Pentacles. So interesting that it like copies this, or sort of mirrors this energy that we've got here with the Star and the Seven of Pentacles. So I'm going to read to you from the Splendor Solis book, because it's a slightly different interpretation to the usual. I've already kind of told you what the Seven of Pentacles means in terms of the tarot. As I say, with the Splendor Solis, we are talking more about alchemical imagery, and that can be quite useful if you want to sort of bring about change. So let's have a look quickly at the alchemy of the Seven of Pentacles. So the seventh, Venus of Golden Earth. I bring golden earth of the Venus temple in an alchemy of the Seven of Pentacles. I come to you that you may undertake honorable work, not only for gain, but for love of a higher vision. So that could also be what the Seven of Pentacles is about, is you having a higher vision of what you'd like to achieve in terms of maybe contributing to the greater good, and that by working towards this from a place of love, which is, I think, interesting given this Ace of Cups energy and what I was saying about giving love to a situation through that daily TLC of the Seven of Pentacles, that you can sort of like aim high and sort of achieve something well beyond the realms of sort of just material success. So as ambassador, I bear goodwill from Earth's loving victory, the seventh Earth. We shine Venus's material expression upon all Mithralia's lovely landscapes, which is another word for the sort of the mundus imaginalis, or the world of archetypes and spirits. So displaying the radiant garment of many-rayed light, Venus's rays crystallize deep in Earth's subtle cosmos, becoming lustrous copper, malleable into myriad soft hues or strong verdigris, which is a kind of a green color. Venus is a beloved brightness with special relationship to Earth. symbolized in the left hand and its wedding finger, and operative in subtle centers of consciousness as a regimen of fine burning light, whose gentle heat makes welcome a winged spirit. So there's a lot in here about Venus and copper, and you know, that has sort of particular magical sort of meanings to it, which I'm sure you can look up. It's also interesting that she talks about the left hand and the wedding finger, and also to do with greening, so this sense of growth, and we can see it strongly in the card actually. I don't know if you can see the sort of foil that's used in the center, which has got kind of got symbols from the Tree of Life, the sort of the Kabbalah tradition. But you know, if you manage to have a look online at the Splendor Solis, you can see these images on a much bigger scale, and they can perhaps also just kind of key you into certain things that might be relevant. So for example, Venus here is represented by musicians, by people talking, I think reading to each other, if I'm not mistaken, people feasting and enjoying each other's company at a table. There's lots of sort of growth here, there's love happening in this corner, there's conversation with a friend, possibly in another. So a lot of Venusian, beautiful Venusian energy, which I think, you know, is great for you in terms of your 7th house stuff. You know, that it's kind of, it's your relationship kind of sign, if you like, your counterpart. And also, I think pointing to that Venus ruled side of Taurus in which this eclipse kind of happens. So I think a lot of potential here, you know, to really, if you, whatever you really kind of give a lot of time and care and attention to, potentially will pay off kind of quite handsomely. Particularly if you do it in a selfless way, you know, like that Grail legend is saying. And then your lunar card is, my capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I'm lost. So I think that's really, really beautiful. I mean, I think, as I say, one of the big themes of this eclipse is really about coming from a really loving place and not giving in order to get, but just giving for the sake of giving, and that being its own reward. You know, as I say, very much like that Grail myth. So there might be something in that for you, not just in terms of career, but also in terms of like relationships, and also your relationship with self. So often, you know, we can kind of get caught up in this idea of self-love is all about being selfish and sort of only tending to my own needs, but it can also be about turning outwards and sort of giving, and that feel-good factor can really make us feel so much better, you know, caring for something or someone else, like a pet or like a plant. So many people talk about how it's taken them out of depression, and you know, because it makes us feel there's nothing better than feeling altruistic, or like you've done good in the world, or getting that sense of appreciation from somebody, you know, because you've done something wonderful for someone you care about. So I think it's interesting that, you know, this focus, you know, in this lunar energy is all about love and about compassion and forgiveness and speaking from a place of love, you know, and also, you know, the power when I'm feeling lost, that love can help to orient you again. You can fall back in love with your own life, for example, if you've been sort of depressed, or, you know, or grief-stricken, something like that. So yeah, I hope that's helped on some level, Aries, and that it's given you some sort of themes or pointers to consider moving forward, you know, during the next 6 months or so. As I say, if you are interested, you can always order a personalized eclipse forecast from me. So check that out at Astrology Sphere at the shop, which you can get from, there's a link on my website. But anyway, I'm wishing you all the very best for this upcoming 6-month cycle. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring you many gifts, and take care till my next forecast. Hi Taurus, welcome to your mini reading for the upcoming solar eclipse, which is happening in your sign actually. So this is quite a big one for you, Taurus. Lots of opportunities for fresh starts, particularly when it comes to like your personal life and your identity, your self-image, your appearance possibly, and also your health. But anyway, we're going to get into a mini reading now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 3 cards for the 3 main areas of your life. So your personal life, your career, and then relationships. And the aim is to get some solar and lunar energy, so we can see what's going on internally and externally, and then we're going to pull some advice from the Splendor Solis and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck as a way of sort of getting some overall you know, kind of themes or messages for you. So let's start with the illuminated like playing cards, and see what messages come through from there. So as I said, quite a big deal for you, this particular eclipse. Definitely a good time to press the reset button, sort of overall. I don't know what, hang on, let me just... Yes, definitely, as I was saying, definitely a good time to press the reset button overall, and to, you know, if you want to reinvent yourself, it's a really good time to do that, because, you know, this is the first solar eclipse in your sign that we've had since this axis of Scorpio, Taurus eclipses has started, you know, since 2021, and this is going to continue until around about 2023. But so it really is your time now, and you know, I know that it's not easy for you to make changes, so I think, you know, if opportunities arrive or there's a catalyst that sparks you into like a new kind of cycle, or maybe a new way of seeing or being, I think grab it with both hands, and you know, and kind of make those changes, because I don't think you'll regret it long term. You know, the energies of this eclipse are quite positive, even with Uranus sort of in the mix. It is in your sign, and I think it's been prompting you to make some changes the last few years, actually. So hopefully you've been building up a bit of momentum and sort of working yourself up to you know, to making some changes that I think are really going to benefit you long term. There's nothing worse than getting stuck in a rut. Okay, let's get the solar deck out. So this is going to look more at external events, energy, people that might sort of appear in your life, or kind of catalyze change or bring about opportunities, maybe in the next 6 months, that you know, will sort of benefit you, or that call for change, if you like. So you know, largely sort of catalyst. It can also be you kind of consciously making a decision to go in a different direction, or applying, you know, so this is more sort of externalized masculine type of energy, where you can take the initiative, you can make things happen, or else things happen to you in the external world, whereas the lunar energy tends to be more, you know, introverted energy, so subtle shifts within your psyche, a change of heart, or healing, or sort of feeling prompted instinctively to move in a different direction, you know, overcome habits, etc. Alright, let's cut the cards. So similar themes. This is kind of your, you know, your personal appearance, or that kind of thing. This is going to be career and success and fame, and then this is going to be relationships with other people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could be something to do with a family member or a friend. You know, it will depend sort of a lot on your own personal circumstances, really. So let's draw you a Splendor Solis. So again, this is going to be a kind of like advice in terms of solar themes. I specifically chose these cards because of the sun and the moon images on the back. It seemed quite fitting with all this eclipse energy. These are very difficult cards to shuffle, I must be honest. Okay, so we're going to pick one card there for you in terms of solar advice, and then one of the Universe Has Your Back oracle cards for the sort of lunar energy. As I say, I've just done this as a bit of a fun mini reading. If you do want to order a personalized forecast for the next 6 months based on the energies of the eclipse and how it interacts with your personal natal chart, then you know, go to the Astrology Sphere shop. I will put details in my next newsletter as well, about how you can order that, prices, etc., if you're interested. Okay, so let's quickly cut, and I'm going to move this out of the way and put that over there. Okay, let's see what is going on in terms of your cards. So, wow, how wonderful. Very different energies. Okay, let's start with the cards on the left. So, it's interesting if we look at the energies, the external energies compared to the internal energies for you in terms of your overall kind of personal disposition or changes that you can make to your like your internal or your external, like your body or your life. Because on the outside we've got the Ten of Cups, which is also the Wheel of Fortune, and I mean this is really, really positive. It's about like it's sort of feeling as though you belong to a community. It's about family. It's also about long-term commitment in relationships, and with the Wheel of Fortune in the center, I mean that's also about like positive developments that will bring long-term fulfillment. So kind of almost like events of like fated events, which can come in with an eclipse, particularly given that we've got Uranus making a conjunction to the luminaries at the new moon, which can very often be about unexpected developments, nice surprises, plot twists that that we weren't expecting, but that end up maybe taking our life in a direction that's better than we ever envisaged. But then on the inside, with this lunar card, we've got the Nine of Swords, and this is all about kind of fears, worries, anxiety about the future, like lying awake at night worrying about stuff, like obsessive compulsive thinking, but a lot of it is projected. It's not real. So it's like waiting for the swords to fall, but they may never fall, because these events that you are kind of projecting into the future may not happen. They're just largely based on fear and anxiety. So I think the advice there is that, you know, there's this potential for happiness in your life, but you might end up sabotaging that opportunity through kind of negative thinking, or like worrying too much and then becoming maybe a little bit too controlling, or not letting things flow, so not being open to receive or to letting other people in. So that might be something you want to kind of watch going forward. And then when it comes to career and success, this is super interesting. It looks as though you've been kind of on the cusp of some kind of dilemma here with the Two of Wands in reverse, or that you've had some kind of words with a colleague or a boss at work. And what's interesting is that this situation now has the potential to resolve itself. Very often for me, it's about making a choice between two options, you know, coming out of feeling torn between two different options. So getting sort of decisive about what it is that you want for yourself in terms of your career. And that might be a question of like, maybe you were having second thoughts as to the sort of career path that you have chosen, and maybe you were wanting to go in a different direction. And I feel like in the next 6 months you will definitely have the opportunity to get clear about what it is that you do want going forward. And then when you're ready in the external world, it looks as though other people will come to meet you and sort of help you to build foundations that will lead you in the direction of material success, because this is the Three of Pentacles. So it's about building the foundations of your cathedral so that they are kind of strong and will last, and that sort of will take you in the right direction in terms of, you know, what you want to achieve in terms of your future. And then in terms of love and sort of the matters of the heart, again, interesting energy. We've got the Hierophant and the Five of Pentacles in reverse for your kind of lunar energy, and that can be about kind of the end of a commitment. So for example, the end of a marriage, or it can be about choosing not to commit, or it can be about not conforming. So it can be about having unconventional relationships, and this may be an internal sort of decision or choice. So for example, you may have been ruminating over the concept of marriage, which the Ten of Cups can be about, and that may be why you are in this fearful or sort of worried energy. It's like, I don't know if I really believe in marriage, for example, And so it might be that you come to the decision that you might want a relationship, for example, a committed relationship, which is what the King of Pentacles often represents, someone who's really ready to commit. But maybe you don't necessarily want to be married to the person, or you want a slightly unconventional type of relationship. So say long distance, for example. Maybe you live in different homes, or, you know, maybe you know, you have an open relationship, whatever you sort of feel kind of drawn to. But I do see that this potentially working out. So I do see you either attracting in a partner who wants to commit to you and who wants what you want, or possibly, you know, if you are already involved with somebody, just kind of getting onto the same page as far as what you both want. Because the King of Pentacles, as I say, is ready to commit, has the wherewithal to commit. And it's masculine energy, but it isn't necessarily like a male person. It's just someone who's got their shiz together, who has kind of made enough money to be able to support themselves and to bring something to a partnership. You know, who's got skills and who's got worldly abilities, and is sort of is mature enough to be able to sort of make commitments and promises and keep them. And it might be that, you know, this King of Pentacles is quite what's the word? They might be quite rational, or they might be quite conventional, and, you know, maybe on some level, you know, there's a need to sort of like have a conversation to sort of marry up these two energies so that you internally feel comfortable with this relationship, and you manage to come to some sort of compromise. And that might be what helps to fix this Nine of Swords energy. The situation might be worse than you think. You know, you could even have had an argument with somebody over this matter, although, you know, as I said, this tends to be more about kind of career. But I do feel as though you could find a compromise here. Anyway, let's see what the advice has to say. So for your solar energy, we've got Mercury of Living Fire, which is the Eight of Wands. Yes, the alchemy of the Eight of Wands. So this is super interesting. I mean, if we think about it from the point of view of tarot, it's certainly about movement forward, making progress, communication, travel. So I do feel like there's certainly the potential here for you to make progress, both in terms of your career and, you know, resolving differences with a loved one or a colleague, if you have conversations. So either traveling to see somebody, or, you know, just having a lot of backwards and forwards dialogue, and that could really help to resolve things for you going forward. I also feel as though, you know, once you make up your mind in terms of what you want from your career, that you could make a lot of progress in the next 6 months with this Eight of Wands, because it is very fast moving, dynamic energy. Let's look at, wow, so there is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. So this is your lunar energy. And I think this is really fitting, actually. I mean, authenticity is a big theme in this lunar eclipse. I mean, this solar eclipse. And, you know, it comes through quite strongly in the lunar phase. So if you haven't checked out my video that I've done for the astrology of this eclipse, you might want to watch that portion of it, because it talks a lot about grounding in one's truth and authenticity, and that this can sometimes mean going against the grain in terms of what conventional wisdom or sort of thinking is currently. But it does seem as though it will really move you in the right direction when it comes to particularly your relationships. But also, I think, you know, making yourself sexy as a sort of an employment prospect, or as a sort of a new company, that kind of thing is, I think, you know, if you're thinking about branding, for example, you know, to think about not straying too far from who you really are as a person, and that authenticity, even if you might think it's a bit boring, or, you know, not as sexy as some other brands, I think ultimately is what's going to draw people to you, because they sort of resonate with your kind of truth. So I think, you know, choosing to be yourself when in doubt, kind of thing. So I think those are some really lovely messages, Taurus. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. As I say, if you are interested in ordering a more personalized 6 months eclipse forecast, by all means go to the astrology shop, or look out for details in my next newsletter, where I'll be putting links to the, you know, where you can order. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care. I hope that Venus and Jupiter bring you lots of gifts and abundance and luck, and I'll see you again soon. Hi Gemini, and welcome to your eclipse mini reading for the upcoming solar eclipse in sort of, I think it's around about the end of, well, it's 30th of April. So this is going to be a little mini reading to help you with get some information about themes for this upcoming 6-month cycle. So I'm going to pull some cards from the illustrated playing cards deck, both the solar and the lunar cards. So we're going to have a row of lunar, which is going to represent your sort of internal world, the solar, which is going to look at more external events, and then we're going to have some advice from the Splendor Solars and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck. So let's get going. I'm going to start with the lunar deck, and just pull 3 cards for this kind of 3 main areas of your life. So kind of work and sort of personal development and relationships. So with the lunar kind of spread, we're looking more at internal energy, feminine energy. So this is going to be about more like how you need to change your attitude, or maybe work on emotional or psychological like hang-ups or patterns in order to move forward with the sort of 3 main aspects of your life, if you like. I mean, this eclipse does happen in your 12th house, so it is a lot about sort of psychological shifts for you, and I think that's just a good overall theme to consider, you know, as we are kind of going through this reading, is that this is really about kind of internal transformation for you, and of course that ends up reaping benefits in the external world, but not always immediately. You know, change the inside first, and then the outside will change, you know, by consequence, sort of as a kind of a mirroring of your internal shifts. So now we are doing the solar sort of energy, and as I say, this is more masculine, external, conscious energy. So it could be people, places, or things that get catalyzed by the energy of the eclipse, that bring about changes in your life, new people entering your life, new professional opportunities being presented to you, you know, news, etc. Things that bring about change in your world between now and sort of October, November. Okay, so similar themes. We've got one for your sort of personal development, your appearance, and then we've got one for, you know, career, and then for love and relationships. And of course, this doesn't necessarily have to be love relationships in the romantic sense. It could well be, you know, anything to do with loved ones, family, friends, etc., whatever's pertinent right now. And of course, there might also be links to the eclipse in the previous eclipse in the series, which was 2004. So if you were around then, you know, you might want to think about events back then, and as well as November, because we had a lunar eclipse in the same sign in Taurus, so there may be some links to that as well. Some continuation of themes, or some patterns in terms of, you know, recurring events. Okay, one more shuffle. These are not the easiest cards to shuffle, I must be honest. This is the Splendor Solars deck by Marie Angelo. And I do love it, but it is very cumbersome to shuffle. Okay, so that's going to be your solar sort of advice, and then let's get a Universe Has Your Back oracle card for the more lunar energy, and this is of course from Gabby Bernstein. A little bit easier to shuffle because it's sort of cards are waxed, so that helps. Okay, so let's just remove this, put this in its, okay, do that, right. Alright, let's have a look at your cards. Interesting. So it looks like big changes up ahead for you, Gemini. Wow. This is pretty interesting energy. Okay, so let's start with your sort of personal development and that kind of thing. So this is really, really interesting. So we've got two energies that are quite fast moving and possibly unexpected. So in the internal world, we've got the Tower, which is represented here by the Six of Wands as well. So this is kind of double energy. So as we know, the Tower tends to be about systems or ideas or beliefs that come tumbling down as a result of this bolt of lightning. And very often there's a need for these beliefs or ideas to change, or for like ego structures to be kind of demolished in order to grow or to sort of get out of a stuck place. And I mean, it's interesting that in the external world we've got this Knight of Wands energy, this Jack of Clubs, I mean, this is all about kind of, you know, it can be hot or cold or ambivalent energy, but it can also be about travel sometimes, the start or finish of an important situation. But it's about events kind of happening quite quickly, because, you know, if we think about fire, the element of fire, generally speaking, it's things that happen with kind of gusto and quite a lot of like force or kind of conviction behind them. But generally speaking, I mean, the Knight of Wands, it can be a little bit ambivalent, so we can waver, and that's not unusual for, you know, for Gemini, in the sense that you are a kind of a dual sign. So it might be that on some level you feel a little bit torn between two particular options and you aren't really sure which one to choose. And I kind of feel as though on some level internally this eclipse is going to bring about a Tower moment where it's going to become blindingly obvious to you, much like a flash of lightning, which option is right for you, or which path is right for you. And then I think you can take sort of swift action forward to achieve that particular goal. So I think things happening quite swiftly for you, and I think that fits with the fact that you're going to have Uranus in your 12th house. So these kind of flashes of insight that help you to make decisions quite quickly. Then when it comes to work and career and success, this is really sort of beautiful energy. We've got the Queen of Pentacles or the Queen of Diamonds in your kind of internal world. So there's a sense that you've been working on your self-esteem and your self-worth. You understand and value what you bring to sort of the what you have to offer, what you bring to a particular workplace or job, that is unique and that's valuable. And this kind of self-belief is going to manifest for you in the external world, maybe an offer of some kind, some sort of job offer or career opportunity that you're going to think is you've hit the jackpot, essentially, because the Nine of Cups is all about like a beautiful surprises, wishes coming true, happiness, that kind of thing. The only downside sometimes of the Nine of Cups is that people can get a little bit smug, so, you know, just kind of watch that. But I don't really think that that's likely, because the Queen of Pentacles is quite earthy energy, it's quite grounded, and I just think it's kind of saying that you've done a lot of work on yourself internally, and maybe on polishing your skills and that kind of thing, and that this is really going to reap rewards in the external world in terms of offers or kind of getting that job or promotion that you've been really coveting or kind of aspiring towards. So that looks super, super positive for you, and might be catalyzed by all those wonderful aspects between Mercury, Jupiter and Venus. And then when it comes to love, things seem to be, again, we've got contradictory energy. So in the external world, we've got the Three of Swords, which is often about a kind of breakup or about conflict or about being separated from a loved one. And then internally, we've got the Eight of Wands. But the Eight of Wands is in reverse. And this can be about like a stalemate, or maybe not speaking to somebody that you've broken up with, but maybe on some level you are thinking about. Or this could be future energy as well. So it could be about impending sort of like breakups or separation. You will know your own particular situation. And there seems to be this, communication seems to be the issue. So a cutting off of communication, being blocked somehow, or not really speaking your truth. And this also might be what you feel ambivalent about, you know, with this Knight of Wands energy, that you're feeling a little bit torn about whether to stay in a relationship or not, or ambivalent about a particular person, you know, whether they are the right person for you. And I think, you know, this flash of insight is going to help you to see the direction in which to move and what kind of resonates with you more. And I think ultimately it's going to help you to make decisions. So even though internally, maybe it feels like you kind of stuck, or that things have sort of like slowed down to the point that you don't feel able to make decisions, or that you're waiting for communication from somebody that you know has kind of separated from you or ghosted you or something like that. And I think maybe you'll get a flash of insight about this particular situation that will maybe help you to move on or to see it from a different perspective. But let's see what's kind of going on in terms of advice. So this is your lunar advice, and it's interesting that this is almost like a spinal cord type of image. So it says, the moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. So that might be the answer that you get through this flash of lightning, this bolt of lightning, especially given that this is such a strongly Venus-ruled eclipse. So it could be that you suddenly see that maybe somebody wasn't right for you, and maybe even if they hurt you, that maybe it was for the best that you kind of went your separate ways, you know, and just, I think, getting very clear if you are feeling ambivalent, or if somebody's being ambivalent towards you about, well, if this person is ambivalent towards me, they're obviously not 100% committed to me, and therefore I need to find somebody who does, because I value myself. And so even though it might be painful initially, you know, it's moving you towards somebody who's perhaps better or kind of healthier for you. So let's look at your advice from the Sun. Oh, interesting. So you get the Sun. This is the card for the Sun. Now, in the Splendor Solis deck, it's called Child's Play. It is number 19, which breaks down to a 1, because 1 plus 9 is 10, and that breaks down to a 1. So it's a kind of about fresh starts, I feel. And obviously the Sun as a card is about success, but also happiness and getting in touch with our inner child. So it's interesting that you know, the card is called Child's Play, and we've got all these images of babies and children playing. So it's I think asking you to sort of get in touch with your solar plexus energy. And this is interesting, you know, if we look at the Queen of Pentacles, because this is where the diamond is situated, is in her kind of solar plexus energy, in the center of her kind of chakra system. And that this is going to, you know, that this really pays off because it attracts to you what you want. So not just in terms of work, but also I think in terms of relationships. So I think what they're saying is replicate that energy when it comes to relationships, you know, all kind of personal matters, and that will help you to attract in better circumstances, less kind of ambivalent energy, or less kind of tragic energy. You know, you'll move into a place of kind of playfulness, of happiness, of getting your inner child's joy back, essentially, and that will help to propel you forward into sort of better times. But I'm just going to read to you from the Splendor Solis book, because the messages from there are quite specific and alchemical in nature, and I think it's sometimes useful to hear these images, even if we don't understand what they mean logically. I think that they do kind of spark things off in us on a kind of unconscious level that moves us into sort of like a place of transmutation, if you like. So Child's Play is number 19. So it says, I am Child's Play, inner alchemy of the Sun. I'm going to put this up here. Lord of the fire of the world, I come that you may experience life's generosity, enjoying glory and riches in all worlds with the same ease as a love child plays among friends. I am artisan of the collecting intelligence, a gathering for all within the zodiac circle of the fixed stars. All Mercury moon experiences in the four worlds are woven into my alchemical path. So those two planets might be important. I am the inner vision of the child of the Sun, delightedly heading soul's annual procession through the garden of cosmos. Through me, Lady Astrologia operates her liberating art, bringing light from the 12 starry places above to illuminate matters in the 12 terrestrial houses below. Dear alchemist, these are mysteries of the many-colored alchemical coagulatio. So that's a stage of alchemy. So, I mean, if you think about it, things coming together, essentially coagulating, things kind of firming up. Safe in the nursery of the higher consciousness, presided over by the mother, mercurial spirit comes from the waters to receive new body and substance. In the play of the elements, all has a voice, a face, a name. Personality is illumined and can be trusted, for the higher powers care for the lower. Rejoice in the stage of your work, for old sterility is vanquished and all is fruitful once more. So I think that's quite interesting, as I say, given that we've got this tower energy, which, as I say, is kind of sweeping the old out quite quickly and bringing in the new, and also with this 8 of Wands in reverse, where there's the sense of like things having ground to a halt, or sort of like a stalemate, that there is this opportunity with the energies of the solar eclipse to sort of to once again kickstart things and to get momentum going. And it all starts with your solar plexus energy. So I think that your career is really the thing to focus on, and that like as you start to feel good about that and you start to see results in the outside world, this happiness will spread into other areas of your life, and and will have a kind of a knock-on effect. So I think really focusing on that playful sun energy, your inner child, cultivating your inner child, and knowing your worth. So there you have it, Gemini. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. If you would like a more personal, in-depth forecast for the next 6 months, do get in touch or look out for details in my upcoming newsletter. But I'm wishing you all the best. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring you lots of wishes being fulfilled, and I'll catch you again for my next forecast. Hello Cancer, and welcome to your mini reading for the upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus that happens on the 30th of April. So I'm just doing this for members of my website as a little sort of bonus extra. I'm going to do something a little bit different to what I normally do. I'm going to pull 3 cards from the solar and lunar decks, and that's going to give us some overall themes or kind of advice with relation to personal matters, career success, and relationships. And then we're going to finish off with some advice from the Splendor Solars and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle decks. So just a little bit of fun. So let's get going and see what comes through. So as I've kind of said in other readings, obviously when I'm doing Cancer, I'm thinking about Cancer rising, but because I'm not working with house systems in this particular reading, you can watch it if you are a Sun Cancer, and feel free to also go and check out your other placements if you want to get some additional information, because this is quite a simple reading. Just a little bit of fun really, just to see if there are any themes that want to come through that wouldn't necessarily just through the astrology. So with this lunar deck, what we are looking at is kind of more internal energy, so psychological shifts that need to happen, maybe some growth or developments in the heart space, maybe some attitudes or beliefs that you need to sort of like get rid of or adopt, so it's definitely about internal changes and sort of more subtle shifts rather than events in the external world. So 3 cards, this is going to be for you kind of personally, this is going to be about career, and then this one is going to be about kind of relationships, that sort of thing, matters of the heart, so how you feel about a person or a situation kind of internally. And then we're going to do the same with the solar deck. So this is going to be about more sort of to do with external events or people, places and things that are kind of important during this 6-month period, or that are new, kind of come into your life in a new way, like new karmic contracts, new soul contracts, or it could be people that offer you opportunities, bring news that catalyze change in your life, because eclipses a lot of the time are about change. And with Uranus so prominent, this one is also, it has a very strong theme around kind of innovation, risk-taking, going in a new direction, kind of built into it. And I know that that's probably fills you with a bit of trepidation, Cancer, because you do like what is familiar, but sometimes change is good. And if it weren't for external events, we probably wouldn't necessarily have made changes. So sometimes we need those kind of external catalysts in order to sort of push us forward, if you like, to sort of move things along, all right, let's get some advice from the Splendor Solis Tarot. Such beautiful cards, but they are so tricky to shuffle. It's unbelievable. That's why I don't use them very often. And that, and the fact that they contain a lot of alchemical symbolism, which not everybody knows, so they're not always sort of suitable for normal tarot readings. But I like them for this type of reading because there's a lot of information sort of in one card, so it can help us to really get some interesting advice. Okay, so that's going to be your kind of solar advice, if you like. And then we're going to do the same with the universe as your back oracle deck. Whoops. I just like the fact that it's got a moon on the back. So I think it fits in very well with these sort of solar lunar themes. So it's going to be about advice for your sort of your lunar row, if you like, which in your case is very important because you are moon ruled. Okay, so there is your lunar card. So let's start by looking at the kind of more mundane energies, if you like. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. So let's start on the left with this kind of pertains to, you know, kind of more personal matters or decisions that you might make or lifestyle changes, that type of thing. Internally, you've got the Seven of Cups as your sort of lunar card, and this is all about making choices and making decisions. And sometimes, I mean, it's interesting that you've got the same card reflected on the outside, but it's upside down. So it does seem as though, you know, when it comes to making lifestyle choices or choosing from different options, that really you are better off listening to your kind of instinct or your internal kind of gut response rather than seeking advice in the external world, because that's just going to make you more confused. That you really need to sort of lead in, you know, with your kind of your internal compass, if you like, because I think, you know, when the Seven of Wands, I mean the Seven of Cups appears in the external world, it can sometimes be about temptation. Although, I mean, what's interesting about it being in reverse is that this is kind of getting clear about what it is that you want. So it could also be that you feel more confused internally, you're not sure which way to go. And, you know, given that it's so closely aligned with Neptune, which is quite strong at this lunar eclipse, I mean solar eclipse, you might get dreams that point you in the right direction, or there may be a need to sort of use your imagination on some level to, you know, to help you to kind of get internal congruence so that you make choices clearly in the external world. But it does look as though you will make the right choice with the solar card being in reverse, that you'll kind of see through what may seem like options but are actually just distractions, and sort of get clear about your kind of future direction of travel. Then when it comes to your career, it looks as though you may be kind of feeling a little bit anxious about making a decision concerning an organization, because we've got the Hierophant here, which also is doubled up by the Five of Pentacles. So it could be that you are worried about money, or that you are thinking about maybe taking a job at a larger organization, and you're feeling a bit anxious about it. You don't know if it's the right decision. Maybe you've worked for smaller organizations in the past, or you've worked for yourself, and maybe this feels like a bit of a leap. You know, maybe it's too, you worry that you might feel a little bit stifled, if you like. But equally, if you're worried about money, there does look as though there may be some opportunities externally that will help you, you know, to get a job or to maybe reskill, because the Hierophant can sometimes also be about higher educational training, vocational training. So it could be that the sort of the way forward is to upskill, to sort of like to be more employable if that's an issue. But I think internally what you really need to be dealing with is how to manage anxiety, because the Nine of Swords is all about like laying awake at night worrying about things that may never happen. So there's this very strong tendency to project into the future and to think the worst, so kind of catastrophe thinking. And actually, you know, the 9 is not the 10, so this is a sense of needing to sort of manage fears, because they might be like freaking you out or sort of like psyching you out, and they aren't necessarily real. So I think that, you know, if you want to sort of like encourage abundance into your life, which is one of the big themes of this particular solar eclipse, you know, is Jupiter and abundance, and Jupiter and Venus, then I think what needs to happen is you need to get more internal congruence, get rid of any type of like negative beliefs around like poverty thinking, scarcity thinking, that type of thing, because I think that's going to help you to manifest more successfully, you know, externally. And then, you know, when it comes to career, I mean, to loved ones, and this doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could also be, you know, any kind of matters of the heart, so family or friends. It does seem as though there is an opportunity coming up for you, a golden opportunity, maybe some kind of offer from somebody. So this could be, you know, an offer from a family member. It could be a romantic offer. It could be like an overture for a friendship by somebody else. But nonetheless, it's a solid offer. And it brings to an end one cycle because we've got the world in the middle, and it sort of it starts another cycle. So it's interesting that you know, that we've got this end and this beginning. And internally, you've got the Two of Cups in reverse. Now this is also Temperance in reverse, and I think what it's kind of saying is that you don't want to rush into making decisions when it comes to matters of the heart, but at the same time, you know, if you are separated from someone or things haven't sort of worked out in the past, don't necessarily assume that it's going to be the same story going forward. That there does seem to be this golden opportunity available to you, and I think you just need to trust yourself so that and sort of be open to receive, so that you don't kind of pass this offer by because you're kind of in not able to receive, if you like. So those are your kind of main messages. Now let's have a look at the advice. Interesting. So I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. And it's interesting that we got this rainbow in the third eye. So that does seem to point to a need to shift negative beliefs, particularly around love and kind of money and success. So really shifting, you know, into that higher perspective of kind of saying, you know, not everything is sort of like do or die. You know, we don't have to sort of think that, oh my God, am I going to make the wrong decision, and then, you know, I can't change my mind, or I can't rectify or kind of course correct. You know, not overthinking it and sort of worrying such a lot about making the wrong decision, and actually just coming from this more flowing, kind of more detached perspective of, yeah, I'm just having a human experience. It doesn't matter if I don't get the lesson right this time around. There will be another opportunity, and that can lower the stakes and make us feel less anxious. And I'm here to get closer to love, so being your main goal. So don't let that kind of pass you by if there is this wonderful opportunity, you know, coming your way over the next 6 months. And then your solar energy is the Ace of Wands. So this is the point of living fire. And I'm just going to hold this up so that you can see all this sort of the foil imagery. I mean, it's really, really beautiful. It does kind of speak of spring. You know, there's a lot of like the fecundity of nature here. The Ace of Wands is about fresh starts, and very often these are inspired starts. So there could be a new start in terms of like creativity, just feeling more inspired and more optimistic on some levels, or pressing the reset button on some level. And that could happen maybe once you get clear about what it is that you want. And also it can be about spirit. You know, fire, the element of fire is also about spirit. So I do feel as though this is an opportunity for you to sort of relight your spark, if you like. And part of that is adjusting your beliefs and your sort of attitude so that you are kind of open to more joyful energy and more optimistic energy kind of going forward. I'm just going to read to you from the book because there's some wonderful sort of alchemical messages and imagery in the messages here that you might find illuminating. So it's the one. Okay, so the point of living fire. So I bring the point of living fire in an alchemy of the Ace of Wands. I come that a new archetypal power may enter your life. So a new sort of symbol or image that can sort of like lead you in a particular direction. A hidden treasure within longs to be known, and a loving divinity is all about you. So that's interesting given the 7 of Cups that you've got here. As ambassador, I bear goodwill from divine composition of living fire's great praise, the first fire. At Spirit's crown, which we've got here, incandescent source of all Mithralia's high heavens, the first degree of eternity comes forth from limitless light. Within the flame of the spirit substance dwell divine mind's deepest patterns. As unifying deity, archetypal living power, known by many names, the good, all creator, divine architect, composer, the one, Allah, ground of being. Dear alchemist, live within unifying awareness. So this is about oneness, or kind of bringing things together. Be as a sunlit speck within that glorious sunrise, and the illuminating warmth of the all-inclusive will bring you the spiritual experience of unity. My alchemy of the first fire gathers into the vessel the most exalted potentials for spiritual awareness. So this is all about potential. Our arts dissolve and transform these with tincture of brilliance. The root of the powers of fire is reformed and multiplied, your spirit's tree well rooted in yet higher potential, extended vision, enhanced will, new and wonderful purposes are made known. So I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but you've got 6 months to sort of think about it. And overall, I think it's about fresh starts and about new potential kind of coming in. And, I do think it's interesting that in the external world, in the solar deck, we've got this Ace of Pentacles here for you, particularly in terms of matters of the heart. So I do think an opportunity for fresh starts for you, Cancer. If you think about, if you are Cancer rising, this eclipse happens in your 11th house, which is all about kind of hopes, wishes and dreams, but also friendships and groups. So that might be significant. But yes, I hope you found this inspirational and helpful. Do revisit it in the future if you want to be reminded of this energy, because it is 6-month energy, and it will take at least 3 months before some of this will start to kind of manifest in the external world. So you'll work more with the internal energies first, particularly as we build up to that lunar eclipse in Scorpio that happens mid-May, which is about phasing a cycle out, like a cycle phasing out in terms of often internal events. So working with this energy first, and then things start to manifest in the external world, usually from the 3 to 6 month mark. So just bear that in mind, that it won't necessarily be energy that you will see overnight kind of thing. It might take a while to develop. But I hope it kind of gives you a point of reference or something to think about, like some images and talismans to work with. And if you are interested in a more detailed personal reading, then do check out the special eclipse forecast that I'm going to be offering in my astrology shop. So, visit my website and look for details in my upcoming newsletter. But yes, all the very best, Cancer. I hope that this solar eclipse brings you lots of luck and love, and I'll see you again for my next forecast. Hello Leo, and welcome to your eclipse mini forecast that I'm doing for this upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus happening at the end of April. So I'm doing this specifically for members and just as a little sort of like fun mini forecast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 3 cards from the solar and the lunar decks to kind of get a gauge on some themes maybe that Spirit wants to share with us about personal development, career, and then love. So the 3 kind of main areas of your life. And obviously we're going to look at that from a lunar and a solar perspective, so internally and externally. And then we're going to get some advice from the Splendor Solis and the Universe Has Your Back oracle decks, and that will be your kind of mini reading. So let's get started with the first of all the lunar kind of themes, if you like. So as I say, I'll draw 3 cards for each of the main 3 areas of your life. Obviously this eclipse does fall in your 10th house, so if you do have Leo rising, this will be about kind of new opportunities, career, in terms of your career and success and fame and that type of thing, maybe heading in a new direction, or getting new opportunities to move ahead in terms of your career, maybe change direction, that type of thing. But we'll find out more from the cards. And obviously if you want something more in depth, you are welcome to order one of my personalized eclipse forecasts, which I will be doing from scratch. So it's a very bespoke type of reading. Details will be in my newsletter, and available to order in the astrology shop. So just something to think about if you want a more in-depth personalized 6-month forecast. But let's draw 3 cards. So this is going to be sort of lifestyle and personal development. This is going to be like attitudes or beliefs that might be sabotaging your career, or that will kind of propel you forward. And it could, if you are rethinking your career, maybe it will also give you an inkling of where you're kind of headed into sort of internally, psychologically. And then let's get some cards from the solar deck, and this is going to be, you know, more about external events, people, places and things that could take you in a new direction, bring you new opportunities, bring you news, that type of thing. So more external events. It could also be a decision that you make, because it is about the conscious mind. It's about masculine energy, so maybe taking action in a particular direction. But anyway, we'll see what comes through. So same themes for each of these, but as I say, this is more masculine, external energy. Okay. Then we're going to do the lunar deck. So this is The Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck by Gabby Bernstein. So this will give us some advice for the bottom row, some overall kind of unifying advice. Right, that card wants to come out. And then we're going to do the same with the Splendor Solace Tarot deck, which is also very alchemical. So great for giving you images and more in-depth information to work with if you are wanting to sort of do some inner transmutation or that kind of thing. Quite a lot of imagery packed into one card. Just not the easiest to shuffle, I have to say. So this is by Mari Angelo. If you're interested, I think it's available on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. This is the first edition that came out with her kind of crowdfunding efforts. So there we go. Alright, let's find out what's going on for you, Leo. You got the sun. That's lovely, your own card. Wow, looks like some really fabulous things to look forward to, which is in keeping, I think, with this Venus-Jupiter conjunction that's happening on the same day as this eclipse. So let's start with your kind of personal life and your kind of lifestyle, that type of thing. So it's really interesting, Leo. It looks as though kind of internally you are really kind of bossing up and getting in touch with your truth and standing in it, because the lunar card for you is a mixture of the Emperor. You can see the ram's horns, but also the King of Swords. And this is all about standing in your truth, not necessarily talking a lot, but just getting very clear about what is true for you and what feels right to you as well, because in the external world we've got justice. So this is justice, and it's also the 8 of Swords, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And this is all about kind of making decisions that are going to like rectify or rebalance situations that might have been out of balance on some level, and also getting clear about what's true and what isn't, because of course the 8 of Swords is often about where we feel stuck or where we feel kind of held back, even though it turns out from the imagery that it's not true. So there's a sense of feeling bound or feeling kind of somehow hobbled, but actually it's an illusion. So if you take the blindfold off, you see things a lot more clearly. And I think it's so interesting that we've got this justice card in the external world, and in the internal world we've got this very clear-eyed Emperor and the King of Swords. So I think what it's kind of saying is that when it comes to your personal life or making decisions, that it's time to kind of boss up and to sort of really not be afraid to stand in your truth, not worrying so much about what other people might think of you, or you know, whether you've got things right or wrong, but just really going with what your instinct is telling you is right, and particularly what's right for you. So speaking up, for example, in situations where you feel like you've been unfairly treated, and not worrying so much about the consequences of speaking your truth. You know, that can be tricky, you know, especially when you've got people around you that might be a little bit narcissistic, who may kind of punish you if you kind of speak your truth, or you say things that are true but which they don't necessarily want to hear. And I think it's just really having the courage of your convictions to stand in your truth, to be firm about it, and to sort of to be quite self-empowered, like not to take no prisoners, if you like, and that this is going to help to banish or dispel like any anxiety or fears that you might have around how other people might sort of treat you or receive you when you speak your truth. It's kind of cutting through those anxieties, those kind of people-pleasing anxieties that we all have about, well, what happens if I sort of speak up or kind of call out somebody for their bad behavior, or kind of say a situation is unfair. And I think really what they're saying is that, you know, you need first and foremost to feel self-respect, and the rest kind of flows from there. And then the way that other people respond to you is not necessarily a reflection of what's true. It's simply a reflection of how they are reacting to what you're saying, or what you believe to be true. And let's face it, I mean, people who are invested in manipulating you, or somehow taking advantage of you, are not really going to like to hear the truth, particularly if there has been some sort of dodgy dealings. And you know, the 8 comes after the 7, so it may well be that there have been people who've been treating you unfairly, and you know, it's time to speak your truth, and they're not necessarily going to like what you have to say. But I think saying it is really important, because then when we move to your internal kind of realm in terms of success and career, we've got the Sun and the 9 of Wands, and this is really about like shining your light and standing in your truth, because this is solar plexus energy. So this is your natural state, is feeling confident, shining your light, not being afraid to be an individual in the world, you know, and being quite confident, and I think what they're kind of saying here is that maybe you've lost your kind of sparkle a little bit over the last 6 months or so, and that it's time to sort of really focus on your center again and move towards what makes you shine and makes you feel good, and not what drains you, because the 9 of Wands can sometimes be about the wounded warrior, you know, somebody who, or situations that drain you. So moving away from situations that drain you towards kind of reclaiming your power, like taking your power back. And that once you start kind of moving from that centered position of your restored solar plexus, that this is really going to help you to attract new opportunities and to feel more optimistic about the future when it comes to your career, because the 3 of Wands is your external energy, and this is about sunrise, if you like. So you look into the sunrise, you look into the future with optimism, you're feeling quite psyched, as though, you know, anything is possible again. And you know, I think that this is going to be a direct consequence of you getting more balanced in terms of your solar plexus energy. You know, the Sun is your natural card. It's about that inner child, that playful, magical inner child that believes that anything is possible, and that comes from this optimistic place, that sort of thinks that the world is a positive and good place, and that good things are going to happen. And coming from that position, you know, if you believe that energy, you're going to sort of emanate it, and you're going to attract those types of things to you. So I think that looks super positive, and you know, as I say, I think it's interesting that this eclipse happens in your 10th house anyway. And then when it comes to relationships, things look interesting here. I mean, internally we've got the 6 of Swords in reverse, and this can point to like not being able to move on from a difficult breakup or separation, or a situation that's caused you pain or drama. You know, when it's in its upright position, it's about moving forward towards the Sun, and when it's sort of when it's reversed, there's a sense of being a little bit stuck. And I do think that, you know, you do need to perhaps work on letting go of a person or a situation that has kind of got you feeling a little bit stuck and maybe out of your power here. Because in the external world, it looks as though there are opportunities coming in, you know, for like long-term happiness. This is the 10 of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So I think there's a need to do some internal realignment of your chakras. So particularly working on your solar plexus to sort of regain a sense of personal empowerment and confidence, and then also, and to get your joy back as well. And then maybe also working on your kind of heart and your sacral chakras, doing some cleansing of your energy fields, particularly your emotional body, to clear yourself of any difficult situations from the past that may be kind of lingering, maybe sort of fallout from a breakup, as I say, or a separation, because it does look as though there are new opportunities coming in that are designed to, that will offer you the kind of long-term happiness that you seek. So if, for example, the reason that you're feeling so disempowered here in this sort of first position is because of somebody who's kind of sapped your confidence and maybe sort of you know, kind of either bad-mouthed you or treated you badly. I think really working on moving past the control that they've had over you mentally and emotionally, to see that what they are saying is not true, it's just their way of trying to control you, and really sort of ridding yourself of those, of this sort of the aftermath of that, so that you are ready to receive. Because as I say, the Ten of Cups is really about long-term happiness, it's about marriage, it's about family, community, belonging, and of course the Wheel of Fortune is all about like luck moving in your favor. So the Wheel of Fortune turning in such a way that your life is about to improve. So that's great news, and it's very much in keeping with that Venus-Jupiter conjunction that we've got happening at this eclipse. So let's look at your advice. Oh, how stunning. I just love the fact that it's in your color. So hope is the conduit for miracles, and that's really what I feel, Leo, is that if you can kind of get back into that place of joy and hopefulness again with your solar plexus, kind of come into a place of truth, and your place of truth is not about feeling miserable or feeling inadequate or believing the sort of nonsense that haters will kind of tell you. And this is going to align you with sort of your more hopeful energy, which I think is represented here by the Three of Wands. And this is the conduit for miracles. And I mean, we can see that miracles are possible here with this beautiful Ten of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So that's really good news. I think, you know, really work on that solar plexus energy, and on moving past difficult experiences from the last 6 months that have kind of held you back or made you feel miserable. And then your solar card is Jupiter of Golden Earth. So this is the Four of Pentacles. And I think this really speaks of not holding on to sort of particularly people or external circumstances that may have been weighing you down, or that have been unfair on some level, or kind of got you into a place of fear and anxiety. So, you know, the Four of Pentacles can be, some people see it as the card of the miser, but generally speaking, because of the Four and the sort of earth energy, it tends to create stagnation. So it's like holding on to situations that have become stagnant, and that where fresh new energy needs to kind of come in order to sort of refresh the situation and allow things to move forward, for renewal to kind of take place. So I'm going to read to you from the Splendor Solis book, because it's slightly different to the tarot meanings, and this might kind of give you some inspiration for how to kind of to get unblocked here, particularly when it comes to matters of the heart. So we are looking for Golden Earth. So alright, so I bring Golden Earth of the Jupiter Temple, inner alchemy of the Four of Pentacles. I come that you may be fully at ease and in possession of your earthly frame, with abundance of health and power. So that's interesting. So they are focusing on your bodily health. And it's interesting that very often when we start to get into better routines in terms of eating and exercise and that kind of thing, that it can often realign us, you know, kind of psychologically. So it may be saying start from the ground up, like rebuild from the ground up, starting with your health and your body. So as ambassador, I bear goodwill from earthly loving kindness, the fourth earth. We shine benevolent light of Jupiter's material expression over all Mithralia's lovely landscapes, displaying the sky father's starry garment. So rays of Jupiter crystallize deep in Earth's subtle cosmos as lightning bolt patterns of silvery white tin, which is the metal of Jupiter. So it's the perfect alloy. So in other words, if you add it to other metals like copper, for example, it produces a stronger sort of combination of metals when the thing sets. So it's saying add Jupiter to whatever you are doing, because it'll give you that kind of dose of upbeat, positive, confident energy that you might be lacking in other sort of like areas, and that will be the sort of the magic ingredient that will help to sort of move the situation forward. So Jupiter is intelligent overlord of all nutrition, promoting healthy growth and healing, expansive insights, and full participation in life's great rituals. So I think a lot here in your reading about healing. Dear alchemist, seek communion with material Jupiter. Be taught by the luminous assembly, master of these arts. My alchemy of the fourth earth gathers into the vessel all discontents, overblown authority, and excessive vigilance. So this, for me, the Eight of Swords can be about hypervigilance. And overblown authority could also be what's made you doubt yourself here. You know, maybe a boss that's overbearing or that's constantly questioning you. Our arts dissolve and transform these with tincture of deep azure flecked yellow. So in other words, blue and yellow. Earthly power is enhanced, reforming into vibrant, generous, and delighted health. When such magnificence is brought within the truths of divine nature, you will gain in ease and grace, becoming a perfect vessel for finer consciousness. So in other words, starting with the earthly and then, in other words, becoming the perfect vessel. So working on your kind of your bodies, if you like, your kind of physical body, and also your sort of your energetic, mental and emotional bodies. And that if you recalibrate those, then everything in the external world will start to reflect this. So I think a beautiful message about self-care, about kind of getting your balance back, finding health again, and that by doing so you will restore your solar plexus, and this in turn will bring you that kind of more hopeful, optimistic, sunny energy. It'll get you back into that frequency that will then attract in good things and make you feel more optimistic about the future. So I think a beautiful mini reading. I hope you've enjoyed it, Leo. As I say, if you are interested in a more in-depth personalized reading, then do check out the astrology shop and my newsletter, where I'll have details about those readings and how to order them. But I'm wishing you all the very best. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring you lots of gifts and abundance and beauty, and I'll see you again very soon. Hello Virgo, and welcome to your reading for the upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus that happens on the 30th of April. So I decided that what I do for my subscribers is just a little mini reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some solar and lunar cards from the illustrated playing cards deck, the illuminated playing cards deck. And these are going to be on the three main kind of areas of your life to give you some steer on maybe some themes over the next 6 months that might be unfolding. So we're going to do lunar for kind of internal, and then solar for external, and then I'm going to get a card, some advice from the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck and the Splendor Solis Tarot as a kind of overarching unifying energy. So let's get going first of all with the lunar deck, and just see what messages want to kind of come through for you that might be relevant to this new 6-month cycle that we are starting at the solar eclipse. So of course this is the first eclipse of 2022. It is related to the lunar eclipse that we had in Taurus back in 2021 around about the 19th of November. There may also be links to 2004, which is when we had a solar eclipse in the same Saros family last. And there may also be some connections to the lunar eclipse that happens mid-May, which is in Scorpio, so the opposite sign. So this is new energy coming in. That one is energy kind of leaving. So, just some dates to think about that might be relevant to whatever's happening now or in the next 6 months. So, 3 cards. So this is going to be kind of personal development and lifestyle. This is going to be career, and then this will be kind of your matters of the heart, so loved ones, family, friends, that type of thing. And as I said, it is about more the sort of feminine internal psychological shifts that we might be undergoing or need to undergo over the next 6 months or so in order to welcome in the events or potentials, opportunities in the external world. Now the solar deck is going to be more about those types of things. So it's going to be more about the sort of potential people, places and things, opportunities or news that might be coming in during this new 6-month cycle to bring about some positive changes or opportunities for growth in your life. Because that is a big theme of this eclipse, is kind of growth and abundance, that type of thing. Especially with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Okay, so let's divide that up. And then we're going to do, solar cards for the same life areas. I have also done a cheat sheet in my general forecast for this eclipse, so you can also check that out if you want to. It's on my YouTube channel. If you want to know what life area, what house this eclipse falls in. Alright, so some advice for the lunar stuff. So this is the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck from Gabby Bernstein. interesting. Okay, I'm going to take the top card. Alright, and then the same for the solar kind of aspects with the Splendor Solis Tarot from Mari Angelo. Not the easiest deck to shuffle, I have to say. Cards are very thick. This is part of the first edition that she did on, I don't know, one of the crowdfunding sites. I know that they are available on Amazon now, and maybe they are a little bit easier to shuffle. Okay, interesting. So we've got 3 cards, and I think I'm going to take the middle card. That feels right. Okay, so let's see what's going on for you, Virgo. Interesting, lots of 7s in your reading. All right, well, I'm going to start on the left, and this kind of pertains to like personal stuff. So, you know, decisions that you need to make, personal changes, maybe changes to your appearance or your health, lifestyle changes, that type of thing. So it's interesting because, you know, in the external world, we've got the 4 of diamonds, which is the 4 of pentacles. And this can talk about sometimes holding on to situations for too long that maybe you need to let go of. So it's possible that on some level you are needing to heal from a situation, you know, because we've got the 7 of, well, this is the star, as well as the 7 of pentacles in your kind of lunar energy. And, you know, the star first and foremost is about healing and about divine inspiration. So regaining your sense of hope in the future. And, you know, sometimes when we aren't really sure, when we're feeling a little bit fearful about the future, we can cling on to situations or to people or to places that maybe we've outgrown because we don't really know what's coming next. And there's that sense of like, better the devil, you know. So that could be what's going on. But I think what they are asking you to do is to work more on your kind of internal energy, to really pay attention to like doing something small every day that's going to make you feel more nurtured, and that's going to help to contribute to your overall health and sense of well-being. And that by doing this, you know, like you would to say watering a plant like once a week, or, you know, feeding your kind of pot plants on a regular basis, that over time this is going to kind of accumulate, and it's going to push you into a place of health where you feel good, where you start to bear fruit again. Because the 4 of pentacles can be a bit stagnant and stuck, you know. It's a number 4, which is not a very dynamic energy. It's quite self-contained, and then you, on top of that, you've got this earth energy, so it's too much earth, it's being too stagnant. And I think a kind of an incremental approach that's based on sort of self-care and better health is going to help to move you into the right space where you can then start to shift things in the outside world. So kind of healthier lifestyle options, and healthier, being good to yourself, really. And then when it comes to success in career, we've got the Knight of Pentacles as your sort of inner energy, and then the Queen of Cups in your outer sort of world. And generally speaking, the Knight of Pentacles or the Jack of Diamonds it's one of the slowest moving knights in the deck, and it can be a little bit uncertain of itself. It wants a lot of reassurance. It doesn't like to take risks, and it needs. It takes a while to kind of get going, and, you know, to sort of gather momentum, which is similar to this 4 of Pentacles energy. So it could be that on some level like your confidence has taken a bit of a knock, or you just don't know whether you're kind of up to the job anymore, and there might be a little bit of like not vacillating, but just maybe stalling or procrastinating, you know, in terms of maybe going in a new direction, or making some efforts towards like attaining career success or finding the right job, that type of thing. So I feel as though you're a little bit stuck and possibly in need of a little bit of healing. And it's interesting because the Queen of Cups is in your external world, and this is somebody who is a nurturer. So this is Cancer energy, and it tends to be a feminine energy that is caring, intuitive, sensitive, empathic, somebody who might be a good friend to you, or just maybe a colleague, a work colleague, or a boss that kind of mothers you a little bit. Sometimes it can be a mother figure. But it just seems as though you need a little bit of a confidence boost from like a feminine energy, somebody who's kind of caring and nurturing and intuitive, and who understands what it is that you need to sort of to kind of get going again. Because I feel like, as I say, that you've kind of lost your mojo a little bit when it comes to your career, and it seems to have a lot to do with either momentum or confidence. So fixing your routines will help, definitely. Moving into healthier routines where you don't procrastinate and where you feel you have more energy, for example, so sleeping better might also help here as well. And then when it comes to matters of the heart, we've got the Seven of Swords in reverse, and this also doubles up as the Chariot. So I kind of feel as though, again, there's a sense of like not moving forward when it comes to maybe making the changes that we need in order to improve situations, or to sort of like make progress when it comes to either friends or family members or romantic relationships. And it's interesting because in the external world we've got the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is first and foremost the fastest knight in terms of all 4 knights. This is air energy, so this is about communication and about thinking. And I almost feel as though what needs to kind of happen is for you to have a conversation with somebody, and that this could potentially resolve some kind of standoff or feelings of like, I don't know, that a situation has not really progressed maybe in the way that you would have liked or they would have liked. And it's probably because of like feeling internally conflicted here. You know, sometimes the Chariot can be about not being able to reconcile the 2 horses enough to move forward, you know, so feeling internally conflicted, not really sure what to do for the best. Whereas the Knight of Swords is very decisive and takes action quickly, sometimes too quickly. So I kind of feel as though, and it can also be sometimes somebody who speaks out of turn, so who may get triggered or who may not think before they speak, and that this can sometimes do a little bit of damage to situations. So that could be you, or it could be another party, but certainly I feel as though there's a potential here to rectify a situation where there may have been unfair behavior or self-sabotage, or where one or both parties may have kind of run away or evaded a situation, so you know, acted in an avoidant way. And I think the way through it is dialogue, you know, conversation here, because these are both air elements. So, and that is a lot about communication and about dialogue. So you know, it might link to this energy here of the star, and that by kind of doing some personal healing work here, it could shift things for you in other areas of your life, because it does just seem as though you need a little bit of a confidence boost or some TLC, and that is one of the themes of this eclipse, as well as authenticity and kind of grounding in the 3D. So I think it's interesting that you've also got a lot of Pentacles energy here, so there does seem to be a need to kind of ground and to work with knowns rather than unknowns, and to sort of overcome inertia on your part, and which could stem from a lack of self-confidence, or inner conflict, and that this will help you to sort of move forward sort of overall. I mean, if we think about the eclipse itself, I mean, it happens in a fellow earth sign, in Taurus, and for you that is 9th house, so a lot of that has to do with either overseas connections or with learning new soul lessons, or just making dreams a reality, or your beliefs. You know, it could be limiting beliefs that are kind of holding you back and keeping you in a place of like ill health, lack of confidence, and internal conflict, and that's causing things in the outside world to either happen too quickly, you know, sort of before you're ready, so not moving with natural cycles, or it's causing inertia here, so it's causing like stagnant energy, so that things don't change. But anyway, let's look at your advice. So your lunar advice is: my faith has the power to turn trauma into healing, conflict into growth, and fear into love. And I do think that is perfect advice, because this is what the vibe I'm kind of getting here is you know, that there may be some trauma that needs to be healed. There may be some conflict that needs to be turned into growth through dialogue and conversation, and fear into love here. So this sense of like a lack of self-worth or self-confidence that I think is kind of stopping you from growing in terms of your career. So that's perfect advice. Let's look at the Sun. So this is the alchemy of the Tower. That's interesting. Now in the Splendor solar system, this is the White Queen. So it's trump card number 16, which breaks down to a 7. The alchemy of the Tower, and that is Saturn energy, I think. No. Let's see. Let's get the book out. A lot of alchemical imagery in her cards, which I quite like, because it kind of makes us, it gives another dimension to the tarot that we don't sort of ordinarily have. And I think with the 6-month cycle, there are a lot of opportunities for alchemical transmutation that I think are worth taking. So it's sometimes good to sort of sit and cook over an image, which is what this particular deck gives us. So I am the White Queen, inner alchemy of the Tower, House of God, Lord of the hosts of the mighty. I come that your ambition for light may grow, giving courage to be healed, made open and restored. So this is speaking, I think, of this star energy here. I am artisan of the active or exciting intelligence through which every existent being receives its spirit and motion. So those kind of flashes of inspiration that the Tower is known for. All Venus-Mercury experiences in the 4 worlds are woven into my alchemical path. I bring creation's lightning flash down towards form, crossing the upward impulse of the middle pillar to establish the great crossroads tower of the personality. So it looks as though you are kind of on a crossroads of some kind, that you need to make a choice. And that choice might be made for you through this kind of lightning flash. And this could be as well what the Knight of Swords is about. It could be somebody who acts as a catalyst, who kind of comes in and then goes out very quickly, but catalyzes sort of change in your life. I think it's also interesting that they're talking about Mercury-Venus experiences, because this eclipse does also contain within it a sextile between Mercury and Venus. So Mercury will be sextiling both Venus and Jupiter. I think if you watch the beginning of this reading, you'll already know that, or if you watch my other forecast. But Venus and Jupiter seem to be, Mercury seem to be important. And these are the 2 personal planets that are kind of associated with consciousness and with so the heart and the mind. So I bring creation's lightning flash down, As radiant White Queen, I am the inner vision of that tower. Under mercurial skies, my great teaching project unfolds to topple ego's babel of voices, rebuilding finer structures for the growing light of self-knowledge. So yes, this could also be a kind of a dark night of the soul type of a situation. Dear alchemist, mine are the liberal liberating arts, which give you power to free yourself from incarceration in outworn ideas. Yes, and I do feel that, especially with this Knight of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords, that there may be a need to sort of like have a bit of an inner reset, if you like, around your kind of your limiting beliefs, which may be rooted in trauma, and fear. Dynamic as Mars, I increase the power of the fire's heat on the earth so that its congealed part is dissolved and made bright. Call in those fiery rays of wisdom and eternal illumination. Dare to give voice to new, more radiant philosophy. House my divine hosts with grace. So interesting that she's talking about things that were congealed being kind of made liquid. And I think that this is what is needed, particularly with this 4 of Pentacles, that there's a sense of getting stuck, where things have solidified and become rigid, and there's a need to liquefy again so that things can flow. And that is one of, the messages of that Libra full moon that we've just had, is this acceptance of transience and not getting too attached to people, places or things, which cause suffering, because everything is subject to change on the earth plane. And so we need to get used to this idea and be more fluid, and this can help us to move more quickly from one state into another. So to recover quicker after sort of like difficult situations, and to also make the most of like positive vibes when they are kind of around. But anyway, I hope you found that useful. As I say, I am offering more personalized 6-month forecasts. So if you are interested in that, then check out the links that I provide in the newsletter and at the Astrology Sphere shop. But I wish you all the very best. I hope that Venus and Jupiter bring a lot of good vibes and opportunities your way. And I will see you again very soon. Hello Libra, and welcome to your mini forecast for the upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus, which happens on the 30th of April 2022. So this is a special little members video that I've done for those of you who subscribe to my newsletter, and it's just to kind of give you a little taste of what might be in store for you over the next 6 months of this solar lunar cycle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 3 cards from both the lunar and the solar deck to get a sense of what you can possibly expect in terms of personal development and lifestyle, career and success, and then of course the all-important love life. So we will pull from both decks so that we get a sense of like what needs to happen internally and externally in order to sort of make the most of the potential that's wrapped up in this eclipse. And then I will pull some advice from the solar and the lunar decks that I've chosen, which are the Splendor Solis and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck. So that's what we've got to look forward to in this reading. Let's see what comes through. So this is quite a lovely eclipse for you, Libra. It's Venus ruled, it's Taurus, so it's your earthly counterpart, if you like. Venus will also be very active, making that conjunction to Jupiter, which is beautiful, lucky, and very expansive. So lots of positive energy, a lot of positive changes, I think, on the horizon. Although, change can sometimes be a little bit scary. So, it's not as though things are always that straightforward. And I think that's why it's good sometimes to just get a bit of advice from Spirit to see what, how you can make the most of this energy. Okay, let's get the solar deck out. So this will be more about kind of people, places, and things that might appear in your life, new opportunities, maybe some news, new people kind of coming in, so new karmic contracts possibly. This is the sort of more externalized masculine kind of energy. And of course, with Uranus so prominent, there's certainly a possibility of plot twists and sort of pleasant surprises. So I think something to look forward to. So again, same areas, but more external energy. Okay. Right, so one oracle card for your lunar reading. That seemed to want to come out, so I'm going to take it. And then a solar card. So this is more sort of advice or kind of unifying energy. Not the easiest to shuffle, I must be honest. So I don't often use this deck, even though it's really, really pretty, because it's just so cumbersome to shuffle. These cards are huge and they're very thick. And they also stick together. So, whoopsie. But I won't be taking reversals. These are only read in the upright. Okay, let's cut this. Right, so that's your solar card. Alright, let's see what you have to look forward to. Interesting. So if relationships look a little bit fraught, yeah, it's kind of interesting. All right, so there might be links to events now from that November 19 lunar eclipse that we had in the same sign in 2021. And also there might be links to the upcoming May lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So just something to think about. Yeah, so let's start with kind of you, yourself, your kind of personal appearance, etc. So this is kind of like almost like first house energy, if you like, in terms of astrology. So if we look at your kind of lunar energy, it looks to me as though one of the themes that you're kind of working on over this 6-month period is on valuing yourself, on self-worth, and sort of knowing your worth, and kind of getting clearer about what you have to offer, both from a kind of a work perspective, but also in relationships. Because the Queen of Pentacles is very solid, grounded energy, and she, she's warm and she's generous. She likes to, kind of entertain, but she's also very practical and grounded and solid, and she loves nature. And, very often she turns up in a reading for me where there is a need to sort of focus on self-worth, and getting clear again about, as I say, your attractiveness, your physical attractiveness, and what you have to offer, to work situations or to relationships. Because it does seem as though on some level you are moving away from a period that's been a little bit stormy or difficult for you with the Six of Swords. So I do feel as though this 6-month cycle probably couldn't have come too soon, that you are kind of ready to move forward in your life after maybe a difficult time of some, on some level personally, and part of this is kind of internal recalibration and healing, and about coming back to yourself, coming home to yourself, valuing yourself, knowing your worth. If we move to career and finances, that type of thing, it's interesting. We've got the Two of Swords in reverse, and this also doubles up as the Hanged Man in reverse. And then in the external world, we've got the Ten of Wands. So again, it looks like you've had a difficult time, Libra. I really feel sorry for you. It kind of looks as though you've been under the cosh a bit. So the Ten of Wands is often to do with stress or feelings of overwhelm. So it looks as though career-wise you've had a bit of a tricky time recently, and as I say, definitely in the last 6 months, because the 10 is the end of a cycle. And so what I'm feeling strongly is that although you might have felt quite blocked during this time, that things are kind of on the mend now, that you are getting unblocked, you're sort of getting clearer about how to move forward and to sort of improve your situation. And also I think having got a clear perspective, because I feel as though things were at a kind of a stalemate. You felt like you was left in suspension, maybe over the last 6 months or so at least, where you weren't really sure how to move forward. You felt blocked. You didn't see any clear opportunities or sort of ways to kind of move forward. And I think that with this card being in reverse now, that situation is ending. So we've got a 10, so an end to this feeling of overwhelm and stress, and an end to feeling blocked and indecisive, which of course we know, Libra, can be one of your downfalls. So getting clear about what you want, how you want to move forward, and also having gained the perspective and insight that you need in order to come out of a period of stagnation. And then when it comes to your love life, gosh, it also looks like you've not had the easiest time. I'm kind of feeling like with the Five of Wands here in reverse that, you know, again, this period might have, the last 6 months might have coincided with a period of like a lot of drama in your life. Maybe you felt you had to compete with somebody else for the affections of somebody, or there might have been two potential suitors fighting over you. And there's now an end to that energy. So the Five of Wands being in reverse, this cycle comes to an end and you kind of have the opportunity to start fresh. And I think it may take a little bit longer for you to kind of get over this internally, because the Four of Wands in reverse here is about having to come to terms with the fact that maybe a particular romantic situation or friendship or home situation didn't kind of go as planned. Maybe you were hoping that it would sort of develop into something of substance, or kind of sort of semi-commitment, like moving in together, or something like that, but it didn't materialize, and this has kind of left you feeling a bit disappointed and maybe a little bit sort of disillusioned. And I kind of feel as though, you know, what the cards want to tell you is that that situation is now over. It's kind of coming to an end, and you're getting an opportunity to reset here with the Six of Swords. You're about to move forward into a new 6-month cycle, leaving that energy behind, and that that part of like overcoming this disappointment and moving forward, so overcoming this drama and strife, is kind of valuing yourself, self-worth, and kind of getting grounded, getting clear about how you want to move forward, what you want, and letting go of situations that didn't kind of pan out in the past. And that, you know, this can take time. And I think that eclipse that we got coming up in Scorpio might be important as a kind of a way of helping you to release some energy that might be stuck in your system. But I do feel like better times are ahead, so try not to kind of worry too much and focus more on the kind of the bright side, because as I said, there's a lot tied up in this eclipse that's really, really positive. But anyway, let's look at your advice now. Yes. I recognize that I have chosen fear, and I choose again. I choose love. So, yes, I think this is really speaking to your kind of lunar stuff. So, self-love, like valuing yourself, putting yourself first, knowing your worth when it comes to relationships, not getting stuck in paralysis, like analysis paralysis, when it comes to your career moving forward, which is a type of fear. And then also, you know, if you have had a lot of drama and sort of like conflict in relationships, moving past the fear that might have been projected at you, or that it might have been elicited from you in response to tumultuous sort of external circumstances. So choosing love and then moving into this much more grounded energy, this much more centered energy, and that this will then attract in better circumstances externally. Oh wow, what a nice card to come out. So for your solar energy, you get the solar card. This is the alchemy of the sun. So this is 19, and in the Splendor Solar deck, it's called Child's Play. So I think, yes, it's telling you that this is going to be a much more playful, light-hearted, a kind of joyful time for you, Libra. And I really feel like you've been through the ringer a little bit, and I feel quite sorry for you. But better times are definitely on the way. I think it's about moving out of fear towards joy. So it's interesting that these two energies are kind of the counterbalances to each other. But I'm going to read to you from the book, because although we know what the sun traditionally means in the tarot, and that's all about the inner child, about moving towards joy, success, the sunnier side of life, you know, kind of an upswing in sort of external events, the alchemical imagery takes things to a new level in the Splendor Solar. So let me read to you and see whether this kind of sparks off anything in you that proves to be inspirational. So number 19, which comes after what she calls eclipse, the traditional card for the moon, which she calls eclipse. So Child's Play, this is an interesting one. So I find it fascinating that there are a lot of babies on this card. So that's kind of almost like renewal, getting back to that sort of that innocent childhood feeling where anything is possible, where the world is fresh, and where we aren't feeling so jaded and kind of hopeless. So moving back into a space of like joy, playfulness, fun, hopefulness again. So I am Child's Play, inner alchemy of the sun, Lord of the fire of the world. I come that you may experience life's generosity, enjoying glory and riches in all worlds with the same ease as a loved child plays amongst friends. So that beautiful kind of easygoing, flowing energy where we expect good things and then good things just happen. I am artisan of the collecting intelligence, a gathering for all within the zodiac circle of the fixed stars. All Mercury moon experiences in the four worlds are woven into my alchemical path. So that might be important, like Mercury transits and moon transits over the next 6 months or so. I am the inner vision of the child of the sun, delightedly healing soul's annual procession through the garden of cosmos, so completing a circle. Through me, Lady Astrologia operates her liberating art, bringing light from the 12 starry places above to illumine matters in the 12 terrestrial houses below. So I think really talking about astrology as being a good kind of guide over the next 6 months or so. Dear alchemist, these are mysteries of the many-coloured alchemical coagulatio, safe in the nursery of the higher consciousness presided over by the mother. Mercurial spirit comes from the waters to receive new body and substance. So this really talks about new events and potentials kind of solidifying or materializing in the world. So this is really about abundance and about manifestation. thoughts becoming things. In the play of the elements, all has a voice, a face, a name. Personality is illumined and can be trusted, for the higher powers care for the lower. So interesting that you've got the sense of like needing to work on self-care here. Rejoice in the stage of your work, for old sterility is vanquished and all is fruitful once more. So that's what I'm feeling strongly, is that old cycles are phasing out now that have been quite difficult, that you're moving into new energy. And isn't it interesting that this person is moving towards the sun in the Six of Swords card. So I think really moving into better energy, better potential, and moving away from difficult energy. And I think it's just important to kind of clear your system so that you are reset energetically and ready to welcome in the seeds of this beautiful new start for yourself. So I hope that's been helpful, Libra. As I say, if you do want a more personalized reading, then feel free to order one. I will put links in my newsletter and on the Astrology Sphere shop, you know, that you can use to sort of place your order. These are 100% bespoke reports and videos that I'm offering, so they will be a little bit more expensive than usual, but I will be offering discounts to those members who decide to upgrade to tier, the gold tier or the platinum tier, the, you know, VIP kind of tiers of membership, if you're interested in that. But anyway, I'm wishing you all the very best. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring you many gifts, and here's to better times. Hello Scorpio, and welcome to your mini reading for the upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus, which happens on the 30th of April 2022. So this is an interesting eclipse, particularly for you, Scorpio, because it happens in your kind of 7th house. That is, of course, if you have Scorpio rising. And it doesn't really matter in this reading whether you do or whether you are a Sun Scorpio, because I'm not really using house placements in this reading. It's just a kind of a fun reading designed to get a snapshot of some possible themes relating to the main 3 areas of your life. So kind of personal, career success, and love, just as a kind of a guiding sort of energy. Of course, if you want a slightly more personalized and detailed forecast, I am going to be offering those to members and on my Astrology Sphere shop, so you can check that out closer to the time. But yeah, just as in the meantime, I thought for members it's quite a fun way to, you know, to kind of look at what might be ahead for the next 6 months. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the solar and lunar deck, and I'm going to pull 3 cards for each of those 3 areas of your life, and that's going to give us an indication of possible themes for you, both internally, so psychologically with the moon, and then externally, you know, with the sun. And then I'm going to pull advice from the 2 decks that I've got here, the Splendor Solis Tarot and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck, as a way to kind of round out the reading. So let's you know, see what comes through. So far all the readings have been quite different, quite interesting actually, in terms of themes. And you know, if you haven't already checked out the astrology video that I've done, which gives, you know, looks at more detail at the chart itself, because there's a lot happening transit wise, you can check that out. I'm going to link it in the description box. I will also do my usual forecasts via the newsletter that you can sort of link to if you're interested. But that general video for YouTube does have like a cheat sheet, so if you want to know where this eclipse falls in your natal chart, that can give you a quick sort of indication. Right, so this is going to be sort of like lifestyle and personal development. This is going to be like attitudes or beliefs that are kind of helping or hindering you in terms of your career, and then matters of the heart, so internal processes concerned with relationships. Right, let's do the same with the sun. So this is going to be more about people, places and things that might materialize, you know, in your external world during this 6-month solar lunar phase. So it could be new karmic contracts coming in, it could be new bosses, new colleagues, a new lover, new friend. It could also be news or sort of like surprise developments, because there's a lot in this eclipse about like unexpected plot twists, but usually ones that are going to be positive. allowing, almost catalyzing change in your life, you know, a little bit like the Tower card that we get in the tarot. Because sometimes, of course, you know, as a fixed sign, you probably know this, that you can maybe get a little bit stuck and set in your ways, and so sometimes external events have to kind of come along to push us, nudge us out of our comfort zone, and that's very often what eclipses do. So same areas of life, but as I say, just more externalized kind of energy. Right, let's look at lunar advice. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to cut that in half and take the top card. Okay, and then the same with the Splendor Solis Tarot. So this has got a lot of alchemical imagery in it, which I think fits quite well with the 6-month cycle, because there's a you want something a little bit in depth in terms of inspiration, like an image or a process that you can sort of cook over and do some deep kind of work with. It might also pertain to events that will take it like a while to unfold, or unfold in a series of steps, like a process. Okay. All right, let's see what is coming up for you. Wow, interesting. Okay, interesting that you've got the 8 of Swords and Justice twice, once upright and once in reverse. That's fascinating. All right, let's start on the left with your kind of personal development and lifestyle. So it looks as though externally there is the opportunity to really kind of move into a phase or a stage of your life where there's a lot of happiness. So this can sometimes be about a wish coming true, so wish fulfillment on some level. So it might be a long sort of a dearly held goal that you want to sort of achieve, but I think it has more to do with moving into a state of happiness. So maybe, you know, you've been a little bit down or feeling a little bit meh the last sort of like 6 months, and this is saying that there's an opportunity for a kind of a reset here that will make you quite happy. But I think in order to achieve that internally, you are going to need to maybe not kind of dwell too much on, how can I put this, not sort of dwell too much on like subtleties or kind of undercurrents that aren't actually there, because we've got that this is the High Priestess and the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and you know, the High Priestess, particularly when it's in reverse, is kind of saying sometimes situations don't have as much depth as you think that they do. Sometimes they are actually quite straightforward. And, you know, being a Scorpio, there may be a tendency to read too much, like, into a situation and to sort of see things that aren't necessarily there, like nuances that aren't necessarily there. And we can do that both kind of positively and negatively. So, kind of on the more negative side, we can sort of imagine, for example, the worst about a person. So we can sort of think, maybe they've been cheating on us, or maybe because I haven't heard from them in a while that they hate me, you know, when the truth of the matter is that they might just be busy and haven't really spoken to anyone. So it can be about sort of like paranoia, which is quite like a strong Scorpio trait if you're kind of not feeling balanced. And the Two of Pentacles is all about finding balance, to sort of find a way to like overcome the tendency to flip-flop, you know, because if you think about the Two of Pentacles card, it's very much about somebody who's trying to juggle two different possibilities. So it's about like more internal alignment when it's in reverse, and it's about overcoming indecision, or particularly feelings of being like flip-flopping between high and low, which I think feeds into this, what I'm talking about with the High Priestess in reverse. So maybe one day thinking the absolute worst of someone, and the next day thinking the best things in sliced bread, or feeling very ambivalent about a situation and sort of flipping from, no, I think this could be a really great opportunity, to thinking, oh no, maybe it's not that great. So it's finding that sort of unified, centered kind of energy, and also, as I say, not reading too deeply into situations. You know, like, for example, looking a gift horse in the mouth. So with this Nine of Cups here, there's an opportunity, as I say, for a wish to kind of come true, and instead of over-analyzing the situation and sort of being suspicious, actually just accepting your blessing at face value, and not kind of like, you know, as I say, being overly suspicious and sort of looking a gift horse in the mouth. So that's the first important message. When it comes to your career, it looks as though things can really move forward for you now. You can build fresh foundations here with this Three of Pentacles. So possibly meeting a fellow like colleague or business partner that could sort of help you to build the foundations of for a new project or a new venture or something like that, a new creative endeavor. But it requires you to be quite decisive here with the Ace of Wands, I mean the Ace of Swords. So this is all about cutting through bullshit, being very clear about what you want, stating your expectations, so having quite frank conversations that allow for mental clarity. And I think this Ace of Wands is also a good tool to use in order to overcome, as I say, the problems associated with this kind of High Priestess in reverse. So just getting really clear and rational about things, not sort of allowing yourself to dwell too much on like fears and obsessive thinking about things that may not necessarily be true. So that kind of, as I say, it's imagining the worst. So getting the facts, asking for information from people, and then making clear decisions that will kind of propel you forward into new starts and into partnerships, business partnerships, or career opportunities where you can work together with others to create some great things, potentially to build something really solid. And then when it comes to relationships of all kinds, it's interesting, as I said, that we've got Justice twice, and this is also, of course, the Eight of Swords. So it does look as though on an internal level that you're feeling a little bit imbalanced here with the, you know, as I said, with Justice in reverse. So it may be that you feel that a situation didn't really work out for the best, like that things were a little bit unfair. Maybe you were unfair to somebody, given that this is internal energy. Or it could be that you sort of feel as though somebody was unfair to you, and that things just kind of ended on a bit of a sour note. But, you know, if that is so, it looks to me as though externally there are going to be opportunities for you to restore the balance, or for somebody else to kind of come in and restore the balance. So an opportunity to put things right. And part of that is doing the right thing, so being fair, looking at situations from the point of view of like equal give and take. And I think also with the Eight of Swords here, overcoming fear, because the Eight of Swords is usually about feeling stuck because of mental prisons. So imagining the worst about a situation, and kind of like flying blind. So not getting the information that you need to make clear decisions, reading too much into situations or people, seeing things that aren't there, that can cause you to sort of get a little bit triggered and to feel paralyzed and stuck. So I think it's interesting, as I said, that we've got this Justice coming out in the upright in the external world. So I think definitely opportunities here to rectify situations, to get justice, to put things right, and also to for there to be kind of karmic balance. So, you know, there's that sense of like giveth and taketh. So if, you know, situations haven't really worked out in the past, now's the opportunity to sort of for that karmic balance to swing in the opposite direction and for things to work out well. So I think that's kind of interesting energy. It could also have to do with legal matters, of course, but I would think that this would have to be a long-term commitment, like a marriage, for that to be true. I mean, there could be discussions around marriage and around legal contracts, and I think the key thing is to sort of aim for a balanced, fair situation, and I think expect other people to be fair towards you with this, the justice and the upright. So making important decisions or commitments that are for the best, for all concerned in the situation is the way to kind of go. But let's look at your advice. So interesting. So my capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I'm lost. So interesting energy. So definitely I think a time of like internal recalibration, so that you make better decisions, that you feel more empowered, that you forgive other people if you feel like they've been unfair to you, and also to be more compassionate towards others, if maybe you've been a little bit unfair to them, and the power I need when I'm lost. So I think this is pertaining to this High Priestess in reverse, which can, talk about sometimes about losing touch with our intuition. So that's interesting. And then your overall solar advice is the Alchemy of the Chariot. So this is number 7 in the Tarot Trumps, and in the Splendor Solar System she calls it Welcoming Angel. And you can see this angel here that's got 3 alchemical colors actually, the primary colors that then make up all other colors. And this angel's got a star above her head and a crown, and she's offering a red robe to this creature that's kind of coming out of the bog, which is kind of interesting. So let's find out more about that. I mean, I will say that in terms of the tarot, that this is really about moving forward, about overcoming internal conflict in order to move forward in life. So making progress. Sometimes it's about travel, but it's generally about movement forward as a result of resolving inner conflict and kind of instilling inner self-discipline. So uniting the sort of warring sides of yourself, which is certainly a possibility when you've got the 2 of Pentacles, in a reading. So let's have a look. Welcoming Angel. Right, so I am the welcoming angel, inner alchemy of the chariot, child of the powers of the waters, lord of the triumph of light. I inspire the journey out of indecision and negativity. So interesting that, as I say, we do have a lot of that in your reading, where I do feel as though there's been sort of internal negativity, indecision possibly, and a need to get clarity. I inspire, so my embrace will teach of victory, health and success. I am the artisan of the intelligence of the house of influence, an abundance of light, increasing the influx of good things upon created beings. All Saturn-Mars experiences in the 4 worlds are woven into my alchemical path. To the charioteer, I am a beloved inner vision, safeguard and refuge for those bravely crossing the Cancerian waters of life. Gaze upon my beautiful many-colored robe of creation, for I am a radiant truth, star crown. So, as I said, these 3 primary colors. I am here for you no matter how deep the mud. So as I said, the creature coming out of the bog. And let's face it, Scorpio, I mean, you can go to some quite sort of dark places sometimes. Get mired in the mud. Reach for me with confidence, for I await you. Together we can travel far into the withinness of self-realization. I am both chariot and destination, carrying you when mental and emotional attributes are balanced, thought and speech traveling light. I dissolve what holds you back, transforming body into soul and soul into spirit, that they may once more be united. Be as the great ones, dear alchemist, always reaching towards the sweet perfumes and presence of the angel. So I mean, that's super interesting actually, especially with this kind of one, this ace of swords, which is all about like illumination, inner illumination, getting clarity, kind of moving forwards. So getting internal clarity that will allow you to then, kind of make decisions in the external world that will move you more towards happiness and solid foundations, for success. So, I mean, very interesting energy. I hope you found that helpful. As I say, if you are interested in a more in-depth reading, then, do order from the shop or using the links I will provide in my newsletter. But I'm wishing you all the best. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring lots of good things your way, and I will see you again soon. Hello Sag, and welcome to your mini reading for this eclipse that's happening on the 30th of April 2022 in Taurus. So this is going to begin a new fresh kind of 6-month cycle for everybody, and I thought it might be quite fun for my subscribers if I did a little sort of mini reading and we pulled some cards to see what might be kind of up ahead for you. So I'm going to start with the solar lunar decks, and what I'm going to do is pull 3 cards from each sort of deck that are going to look at the 3 main areas of your life. So starting with kind of personal development, decisions, lifestyle, then career and achievement and sort of money, and then finally you know, our kind of your love life. So this could be romance, it could be family matters, it could be a friendship, so anything that's kind of, you know, coming up for you in matters of the heart over the next 6 months or so. So let's see. So this is going to be sort of personal stuff, but more in the internal realms, of course. Then we've got like career, and this could be like attitudes or beliefs that need to be shifted in order to sort of be more successful or overcome like you know, to improve your money situation, that type of thing, or like your confidence when it comes to work and employment. And then with the solar deck, we're going to look more at external circumstances, events, people, places and things that that might like happen to you or kind of move you into a place of like catalyze change in your life, basically. That is a big theme at this solar eclipse, is change, with Uranus being so prominent. So solar energy. And then we're going to get some advice from the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck, which will be your kind of your advice about lunar matters, or kind of the lunar side of life. And we're going to do the same with the Splendor Solis Tarot for, you know, for the upper part of the reading, for the solar part of the reading. This is quite a difficult deck to shuffle, I must be honest. Quite cumbersome. Okay, so that's your solar card. So let's get into your reading, see what we have to look forward to, what themes are likely to come up for you. So let's start first of all with your kind of your overall messages. Okay, so let's start on the left with your kind of, you know, personal lifestyle, etc. So kind of interesting energy, Sagittarius. It looks to me as though there's not a lot that's likely to happen in the external world on a personal level over the next 6 months. It's almost as though there may be some delays, or things not necessarily going to plan with this 8 of Wands in reverse. So it may be that things slow down now in that sort of part of your life. But that could be because your focus is going to shift elsewhere. Internally, though, we've got the King of Swords, which also doubles up as the Emperor. And sometimes that can point to a need to sort of boss up, or to stand in your truth, to make clear decisions and then to kind of act on them. And that could also be why there's inertia in the external world. Maybe you haven't been very decisive recently, or you felt a little bit unsure of which direction to go in. Maybe you felt a bit confused, or you felt a bit conflicted. Maybe have had several options and haven't kind of known which way to go. But I think that you know, that will change slowly over the next 3 to 6 months, particularly once we get past that solar eclipse, that lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which happens in your 12th house. And that will happen mid-May. So it could be that from that period onwards, you kind of start to build up a little bit more momentum and feel a little bit more empowered. When it comes to career and success, again, it looks as though the key to moving forward and moving away from more kind of that feeling of stress or overwhelm when it comes to money and achievement is kind of making a decision to end a cycle, because this card is the Ace of Pentacles, but it also doubles up as the World, and very often the World is about closing something out and beginning something new, and that's exactly what we are doing at the solar eclipse. We're closing out the previous 6-month cycle that began in December with that solar eclipse in your sign, actually in Sagittarius, and we are now beginning a new cycle which will take us into sort of October, November. So I think it's very important that you get closure, and I think the time to get closure or to sort of close whatever this career cycle or money cycle is probably that lunar eclipse mid-May, which will close out the previous 6-month cycle, and particularly close off any themes or outstanding sort of matters that might have arisen or kind of been amplified for you at that lunar eclipse in Taurus that happened on the 19th of November. And there might also be links to 2004, which is the last time we had an eclipse in this particular series. So events now that might need kind of closing out. And then this need to start fresh with the Ace of Pentacles. So internally kind of sowing the seeds for a new start. Because, the 10 is closing out of a stressful cycle, the Ace is beginning a new cycle. So I think very important to have that as your kind of intention, that if you have experienced difficulty in terms of your career or getting ahead, and you want to sort of shift things for yourself there, that you set that intention of, I want to clear out some energy from, maybe do like a kind of a full moon ritual or something like that, and then invite in or plant seeds of intention for what you want to manifest over the next 6 months. But then in terms of like your love life, things are looking really positive. So it looks to me as though if you haven't met somebody yet, that you could well be meeting a soulmate in the next 6 months, because we've got the Two of Cups here in the external world. And it seems as though you are definitely ready to make a commitment here with the King of Pentacles. So I really feel as though, if you have kind of wavered in the past, and that's certainly a possibility if you are a Sagittarius, Sagittarians love their freedom, then, you might be feeling differently by the time this cycle ends. You might be ready to sort of like commit, to have your shiz together, in order to sort of make a commitment. It's interesting too that the Two of Cups doubles up as the, temperance energy, and of course that is ruled by Sagittarius. So this need for patience and for moderation, not to kind of rush things, is really the way to go. It's the way to sort of move things forward gradually and sort of without there being like interruptions or drama or that kind of thing is sort of what I'm getting. But certainly things look very hopeful in this area of your life, and it may be why what you need to be concentrating on over this 6-month period, because it looks as though there's a reset that needs to kind of happen here, and things seem to kind of stall for you here. Let's look at your kind of overall advice. Interesting. So it says true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. So that might be part and parcel of what needs to happen for you, in these areas of your life where it does look as though you have undergone quite a lot of stress and, as I say, delays possibly. So definitely a need to kind of work on healing. So phasing out what has been triggering or stressful, and then working on healing so that you give yourself permission to feel the feelings and then let them pass. That I think is a very important thing. It kind of gets things flowing again and then allows for fresh energy to sort of come in. Now let's look at the solar energy. Interesting. So you've got the alchemy of a 7 of Cups. So this is Venus of starry water, and I don't know if you can see this card, but it's got a lot of beautiful foil in the middle there, which is quite lovely. So the 7 of Cups traditionally is about making choices, and as I say, that could be part and parcel of why there's been a bit of inertia here in the past, is that you haven't really known which way to go. But I think it's really saying get clear about what is a solid and sort of likely possibility, and what is just sort of like hot air and will never amount to anything. Not kind of chasing rainbows. if you like. You know, it's interesting though that, I mean, if we look at the meaning of these cards in the Splendor Solis deck, they are slightly different. So I like to kind of read from the book because it might, you know, help you see things from a different perspective. So I bring starry water of the Venus temple, inner alchemy of the Seven of Cups. I come that you may travel to more profound regions of symbol beyond the veils of illusion. As ambassador, I bear goodwill from water's loving victory, the seventh water. We create the bright Venus experiences of many-rayed light in Mithralia's spacious deeps. Here, in the secret garden of the soul, all symbols arise fresh with sacred dew. The rose, peacock's tail, lustres of lamplight from holy oil, the girdle unbinding goddess's nature's full beauty. Within the soul substance abides Archangel Haniel, glory and grace of the divine light. As divine muse, she is guide, opening the way. Dear alchemist, seek communion with Haniel. Know her light is illumination and spiritual passion. Receive the alchemical secret that Venus is our subject, opened into philosophic being only by the secret fire that is water. Interesting that we've got, you know, temperance here, which is all about balancing fire and water. My alchemy of the seventh water gathers into the vessel all self-deception and emotional preoccupation in the personal sea of troubles, and that is what I feel is kind of going on here with both career and sort of like personal decision making. Our arts dissolve and transform these with tincture of emerald. Illusory success is reformed into freedom from fantasy, repetition and compulsion. Interesting. So this is, I think, the key to getting rid of this Ten of Wands. Inner images are crafted anew as true symbols, receiving spiritual forces of zeal, love and harmony. So isn't that interesting? So banishing illusion, and part of that illusion may be, you know, repetition and compulsion and fantasy. So I think very interesting messages there, Sagittarius. I hope they provide food for thought over the next 6 months. If you're interested in a more in-depth detailed reading, I will be offering those in my newsletter and on the Astrology Sphere shop. So look out for those links for ordering if you're interested. But otherwise, I am wishing you all the very best for this upcoming 6-month cycle. Take care. May Venus and Jupiter bring many gifts your way, and all the very best. Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your mini reading for the upcoming lunar eclipse in Taurus that happens on the 30th of April 2022. So I thought it might be quite fun for my subscribers if I did a little mini reading for each of the signs. This can be if you are Sun or Rising Capricorn, because I'm not using house placements. So if you want to check out your other placements too, by all means do. So what I'm going to do is pull 3 cards from both the solar and the lunar deck for the 3 kind of main areas of your life, just to sort of get some themes. And these will be, for the lunar deck, we will look at internal beliefs, psychological kind of patterns, you know, so the more kind of subconscious, emotional, psychological aspects of things, and then we'll use the solar deck to look at more external events. And finally we will pull some advice from the two decks that I've got here. So a little bit of fun to look forward to. I hope you enjoy it, and let me know in the comments if you would like more readings like this in the future. So this will be sort of like lifestyle and personal development. This will be like attitudes or beliefs that you need to shift for career and money, and then this will be about relationships, so kind of matters of the heart. And then I'm going to do the same with the solar deck, except as I say, this is going to be more about external catalyzers, people, places, or events that might kind of be coming in, or that will lead to or precipitate change on some level. We'll see what comes through, because there's a lot of planetary activity associated with this eclipse. If you haven't seen my forecast, you might want to check out the video. I will link it in the description box below. where I kind of look at the chart in more depth, so you can see what kind of transits are happening, how the planets are playing into this new 6-month cycle. So there we go. And then some advice, which we will look at the end. So this is the Universe Has Your Back deck by Gabby Bernstein. I like it because it's got a moon on the back. So this will be your kind of lunar based advice, if you like. And then we're going to do the same with the Splendor Solis Tarot by Mori Angelo. Lots of alchemical imagery in these cards. They've used an old alchemical manuscript that was created by someone called Salomon Trismosis, I think. I don't think it's a real name. That is, are kind of absolutely beautiful and full of very rich in symbolism, so quite nice to chew over, over the next 6 months or so. Right, so that's going to be your solar advice, if you like. All right. Let's have a look and see what's going on. Interesting. Wow, this is the 3rd time this card has come out. Definitely some wish fulfillment for some of the signs. And that's probably because of that beautiful Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So, interesting energy, Capricorn. Let's start on the left. So it looks to me as though definitely in the next 6 months there are going to be opportunities for you to kind of go for it, particularly when it comes to like success and like achieving things. So there's a real kind of go-getting energy here with this King of Wands, and the King of Wands also kind of doubles up as I'm trying to think, I think the Hierophant, no, the Magician, that's right. So this is very much kind of, as I say, making things happen kind of energy, very ambitious, a lot of confidence, taking action, taking initiative. But I think in order to do that, you are going to need to work on your self-confidence internally, because we've got the Knight of Pentacles here. And the Knight of Pentacles is very often like a knight who lacks confidence, who needs reassurance, who sometimes moves very slowly, perhaps due to like fear or kind of internal hesitation, not really knowing what to do for the best. There's sometimes also, I don't want to say a laziness, but just a tendency to be very cautious. And I think it stands in stark contrast to this energy of the King of Wands, which is very fast. This is fire energy in the external world. So this is earth, this is fire. So I think what they're kind of saying is that if you if you are lacking confidence, then maybe somebody's going to kind of come into your life to kind of kick butt and to sort of get you to make decisions. Either that, or you are going to be placed in situations where you're going to be forced to make decisions quickly or confidently. But either way, there's a need to reconcile these two energies, which are so very different. I mean, the king is, as I say, a king. He's empowered. He's confident. This is a knight that kind of usually serves a king. So it could be that you're being promoted, or that you're being moved into another position, like a position of greater responsibility. And that is, again, one of the themes of the Sauros series that that this particular eclipse falls into. So there may be some links to 2004, which is the last time that we had an eclipse in this series. So you might want to think back to that time, because it might, kind of spark your memory, or somebody from that time might be coming back now, or you might be presented with similar circumstances where you're forced to kind of boss up. Then when it comes to career, again, there looks like there's an opportunity here to sort of realize a dearly held wish. So achieving something that's been a long time coming, or that you've wanted for a long time, in terms of like a goal, you know, a sort of a career goal. So there's definitely like the possibility of a promotion in the offing here. But I think, again, what it's going to require from you sort of internally is, first of all, a need to really attend to and master like some of your skills and abilities on a kind of regular basis. So kind of polish your skills, refine your skills, spend time investing in yourself. So if you need to kind of go and study something or get some refresher courses, you may well want to do that, because I think those investments are definitely going to pay off. This is also the star, and the star talks about the renewal of hope and also about healing. So it could be, again, on some level, that your self-confidence has been knocked, and you know, especially with this Knight of Pentacles, and there might be a need to, as I say, invest in yourself to develop your confidence and to upskill, because there definitely seems to be an opportunity coming in for you here between these two cards, suggesting that you can really make progress in your career now if you are smart and you make use of opportunities and you invest in yourself and you overcome indecision and a lack of self-confidence. Then when it comes to your love life, and this is so interesting, we've got this is the exact same cards in the different decks, kind of you know, coming up here. And I mean, it's interesting, this is the Seven of Wands, and this can be about it can sometimes be about fighting for a connection, so showing that you are really kind of committed, that you're willing to overcome any problems or obstacles in order to sort of like achieve success. But it can also sometimes be about sometimes it can be about putting up walls, you know, or kind of defenses, and I think the fact that you're getting it twice sort of points to the fact that whatever happens in the external world when it comes to loved ones is a direct reflection of what's going on for you internally. So if you are kind of feeling a little bit fearful or defensive, it may be worth working on that, because that will shift things in the outer world and make things like unfold more smoothly, you know, when it comes to interactions with friends, with family, and with loved ones. So a big message here about as I say, either persisting through difficulties, or indeed looking at how you may be overly defensive when it comes to other people, and sort of working on lowering those defenses through some sort of psychological or work, or kind of affirmations, that kind of thing. But let's look at your advice. So instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. So that's interesting. So it's kind of talking about a win-win type of situations, and that could be maybe what this Seven of Wands is about, is kind of like not being overly defensive and saying, yes, but you know, I need you to sort of like, in other words, being very guarded and sort of like waiting to see if the other party is going to sort of like fulfill your needs before you're willing to kind of give to the situation, and sort of allow for reciprocity. That could be one of the ways that this works. And I think also when it comes to career, if you are more focused on like the highest outcome for all, if you feel as though you're making a difference or a contribution, that can sometimes lessen our sense of like fear when it comes to you know, confidence, that type of thing, because we feel as though we are being of service rather than being asked to kind of step up at a kind of ego level. So interesting advice. Let's see. Wow. So okay, this is the third time this card has come out in these readings. So this is the alchemy of the sun, and as you can see on this card, we've got a lot of babies playing, children and babies, in the three kind of primary colors that make up, you know, the rest of the kind of palette. And this to me is about going back to basics. It's about reconnecting to your inner child. You know, this is called Child's Play in Splendor Solar's Tarot. It's number 19, which reduces to from 10 to 1. So there is a sense of like going back to basics, to reconnect with, you know, what brings you joy, what makes you feel inspired, what makes you feel good, and that is a good place from which to sort of like come from if you want to then like achieve in the world, and to sort of like to generate good vibes, which then sort of generates beautiful energy for everybody. So let's read from, I mean, you know, if you have asked a question during this reading, the answer is yes with the sun. This is also about success. It's about things turning out for the best, like an optimistic, sunny kind of attitude. So very, very auspicious to be kind of getting as your sort of solar advice, because of course this has to do with external events. And as I say, you've got the Nine of Cups here, and you've got this King of Wands. So I think that, wow, there's some killer sort of like possibilities coming in now that really could make you very happy, both personally and sort of like professionally. But let's just read a little bit from the Splendor Solis kind of book, because this gives us more information about this from an alchemical perspective. So she says, I am child's play in alchemy of the sun, lord of the fire of the world. I come that you may experience life's generosity. So this is a kind of bountiful, prosperous, generous type of energy. Enjoying glory and riches in all worlds with the same ease as a loved child plays amongst friends. So that beautiful energy of like win-win and of generosity and benevolence. I am artisan of the collecting intelligence, a gathering for all within the zodiac circle of the fixed stars. All Mercury moon experiences in the four worlds are woven into my alchemical path. And of course both are quite prominent at this eclipse. The moon will be with the sun, and Mercury will be making a sextile to Venus and to Jupiter. So interesting. I am the inner vision of the child of the sun, delightedly heading soul's annual procession through the garden of cosmos. Through me, Lady Astrologia operates her liberating art. So this is all about astrology, bringing light from the 12 starry places above, so in other words the constellations, to illumine matters in the 12 terrestrial houses below. So this is, you know, your astrological houses. Dear alchemist, these are the mysteries of the many-colored alchemical coagulatio. So this is the uniting of above and below, so potential with, you know, actual. Safe in the nursery of the high consciousness, and presided over by the mother, mercurial spirit comes from the waters to receive new body and substance. In the play of the elements, all has a voice, a face, and a name. Personality is illumined and can be trusted, for the higher powers care for the lower. Rejoice in the stage of your work, for old sterility is vanquished and all is fruitful once more. And as I say, I mean, wow, this is, you know, very fruitful, abundant energy here, Capricorn. So I think you should really be quite optimistic about the potential that this 6-month cycle offers, and to really make use of that Venus-Jupiter energy that is going to be prominent, you know, at this particular lunar phase. So I mean, I think a lot to look forward to. It looks to me as though, as I say, the main thing you are going to need to watch is your love life, but everything else seems to be potentially moving in the right direction. It just needs you to overcome inertia and sort of lack of self-confidence and invest in yourself. So I hope that that's been useful. Do let me know in the comments if it's resonated. I will be offering more kind of personalized, detailed eclipse forecasts, which you can purchase either through the Astrology Sphere shop or via the links that I'll provide in my newsletter. So if you're interested in that, check it out. But all the very best. Wishing you lots of Venus, Jupiter sort of abundance, and take care. Hello Aquarius, and welcome to your mini reading for the upcoming solar eclipse in Taurus, which will happen on the 30th of April 2022. And this is going to begin a new 6-month cycle for all of us, which will take us into around about October, November of 2022. So I thought a good time to do a little mini reading for my my newsletter subscribers. So this is going to be good if you are Aquarius Sun or Rising, because I'm not using house placements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the solar and lunar decks here with the illuminated playing cards, and I'm going to draw 3 cards from each of the decks, and we're going to look at the 3 kind of main areas of your life, so kind of personal, career, and then love, just to see what messages the Sun and the Moon want to bring you during this 6-month period, and then we will draw some advice from the Splendor Solis and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck to sort of finish the reading. So I hope you enjoy it and that it brings you some useful guidance or advice. Yeah, let's get into reading and see what comes through. Okay, so this is going to be sort of personal or kind of health, that type of thing, lifestyle. This will be career and what might be holding you back from achieving success. And this is, you know, matters of the heart. So it could be friends, it could be family, it could be loved ones, depends on your personal situation. And then we're going to do the same with the solar deck, and this is to say is more to do with external people, places or things that might be coming in, perhaps due to new karmic contracts. So this could be new bosses, new colleagues, new family members, new lovers, or just people that are designed to kind of push you or catalyze you into new experiences or situations to help you learn new karmic lessons, or to get you out of a period of inertia where maybe you got a bit stuck in your comfort zone and you need to be kind of pushed into a bit of change, because that is a big theme at this eclipse because of the involvement of Uranus, which is all about kind of change, novelty, innovation and disruption. So definitely change is a big theme at this eclipse and over the next 6 months. Okay, so we've got our solar cards. Next we are going to pull some advice, starting with the lunar deck. So this is by Gabby Bernstein, I think. The Universe Has Your Back tarot deck. So this is advice from the kind of lunar perspective, so the more emotional or internal advice that you might need. Solar's Tarot. Oopsie. Which is quite hard to shuffle. It's quite a clunky deck, I have to say. The cards are very thick and they tend to stick together. But the images on them are so beautiful and rich with alchemical imagery that I thought they would be nice to use for a kind of medium range forecast like this, which is good for the next 6 months or so. Okay, that'll do, I think. Let's cut the cards. Okay. Right. So put that over there. Straighten these out a little bit. Okay, let's jump into reading. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to start on the left. So this is kind of, you know, your like more personal energy, so it's a bit more generalized, and it's interesting. I do feel as though maybe there are some fun times ahead, possibly with friends, with the Three of Cups. You could be making new friends, you could be reuniting with old friends you haven't seen in a long time, but definitely there's a sense of like celebrations and good times ahead. But I think that in order to really sort of embrace this, there's a need to kind of overcome either defensiveness, so opening up to new people, for example, not being sort of too closed down, or perhaps just persisting or kind of like overcoming obstacles. So say, for example, you and a friend are not, you don't live in the same place anymore, or you have to kind of rearrange your schedules to kind of find a space to get together, then make the effort, because I think it really will be worth it, and it will make you feel like very buoyant, and it will be good for your soul to actually sort of reconnect and sort of let your hair down a little bit during this 6-month period. Then when it comes to career, work and money, there's a definite sense here of maybe feeling a little bit stuck or kind of hopeless with the Four of Cups in your sort of your external environment. So maybe you're kind of thinking about moving on from a job. Maybe you feel as though there's nowhere to go. Maybe you are just feeling like you've kind of got as far as you can in a particular career direction, and maybe you want to sort of redirect. And there's definitely an opportunity here for a reset with the Fool. This is the Fool in your kind of lunar energy. So I think not being afraid to just kind of take a risk or go in a new direction internally is going to pay off externally. It's going to move you out of like feelings of being kind of meh and a bit hopeless when it comes to your career. I don't think that you're very satisfied with how things are kind of currently. And then when it comes to your love life, it's interesting because in the external world you seem to be in hermit mode here with the hermit, but this is also the Nine of Pentacles, so it could be that you are choosing to be single, perhaps after a kind of a breakup, or you just feel the need to sort of like to kind of regain your sense of independence, your sense of kind of self-sufficiency, because internally we've also got a 9, so we've got 2 9s here that are kind of mirroring each other, and this is the Sun, but it's also the 9 of Wands. And so it's almost as though maybe relationships have kind of been quite draining recently, and there's a need to kind of get your sun back, your kind of your sense of verve and your zest for life. And that might be why in the external world it looks as though you might be spending the next 6 months either being single or choosing to be single, or kind of going into hermit mode, so retreating to sort of like recalibrate, if you like. So interesting energies. It definitely looks, as I say, as though you are due for a reset, and that there's a strong kind of vibe of needing to let fresh energy come in, of letting down your defenses, and of like getting your sun back, essentially getting your kind of mojo back, feeling a bit more sort of like sunny and optimistic moving forward, and that this will help to sort of shift things for you, particularly in terms of your career and when it comes to your love life. But let's see what your advice is. Yes, you see, joy is the ultimate creator. I mean, you can't make this up. So this is your lunar advice. So I think it's really important that you get your happy back here. And, I think part of that is reconnecting with friends. Aquarius, friendships are very important to you, I think, overall. And I think, if this has been a very difficult time, I think, for people socially the last couple of years. And I think it's very important to maybe overcome bad habits that we've got into, where we don't kind of make the effort to see other people, because it will really like refresh you and sort of get you back into a kind of a happy place, I think, if you make the effort to reconnect with friends and with loved ones, and to cultivate good times and to have joy kind of come back into your life. And this is going to reinvigorate everything else that's sort of happening in your life. Let's look at your solar advice. In the years, you see the alchemy of the Four of Wands, which is also about celebrations and about the harvest. So in the Splendor Solis, this is known as the Jupiter of living fire. But essentially, the Four of Wands is all about celebrations, about reunions. So it could be reunions with family members or with friends, times that are like good times, basically celebrating successes, celebrating the harvest, and just sort of being quite joyful and abundant, which is a big theme with that Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Let's have a look at the Splendor Solis book, because this will give us slightly more and a slightly different interpretation. So let me just show you the card here, because it is quite beautiful with all this foil work. So I bring living fire of the Jupiter temple, inner alchemy of the Four of Wands. I come to celebrate successful completion of your tasks and peaceful rest after labors. As ambassador, I bear goodwill from fiery loving kindness, the fourth fire. We bring into being the sovereign Jupiter sphere of Mithralia's high heavens. A ray of glory and bright blessing leaps from the high supernals across the abyss, lighting the flame of mastery. Within the spirit substance dwells divine paternal power, archetype deity known by many names. And then, she gives some of the names. So, Vedic Deus Pitar, Sky Father, wedded to Mother Earth, so this could be Uranus. Artificer, Pitar of ancient Memphis, so that was the craftsman god of ancient Memphis. Roman Jupiter, Greek Zeus Pater, or Pater, and all benevolent paternality. So this is the kind of masculine energy in its most positive expression. So, dear alchemist, live within the immense kindliness of fourfold awareness. Seek communion with him. So, in other words, with this kind of father, this paternal type of energy, which is, it's actually quite strong in the TAURUS series that's associated with this particular solar eclipse. So if you haven't seen the video that I did on the astrology of this eclipse, you might want to check that out, particularly the Taurus family. When the great work is four square complete, all shall merry be. Let this powerful light kindle the vision of love. My alchemy of the fourth fire gathers into the vessel all unsteadiness and unready forces. Our arts dissolve and transform these with tincture of deep violet. Blocks to perfected works are reformed into spiritual awareness, subtlety, and rejoicing. So as I was saying, there's a lot of sort of a message here about rejoicing and joy, celebrations. Knowledge is illumined by meeting in the heart's radiant awareness. Yes, so heart connections that make you feel happy. Feed that adorable fire, invite others to your hearth. Yes, so I do feel strongly that the key to making the most of this particular 6-month cycle is rekindling your connections to other people, particularly people that make you feel happy, so friendships and joyful connections, and that this is really going to help you to overcome, as I say, inertia in your career, feelings of kind of like isolation, you know, socially and romantically, and also just give you your spark back and make you feel a bit less maybe wary or defensive when it comes to your kind of overall attitude. So I think quite a strong theme there, Aquarius, quite a sort of a unified theme, and I hope that this has helped you in some way, shape or form. I am going to be doing more personalized, kind of bespoke eclipse forecasts for people who order through either the Astrology Sphere shop or via the link that I provide in my newsletter. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And that's going to be entirely sort of based on your natal chart, so I will kind of be preparing it from scratch. So as you know, if that's something you're interested in, then do check out the links when I post. But all the best for this upcoming 6-month cycle. I hope Venus and Jupiter bring lots of good times your way, and I'll see you again very soon. Hello Pisces, and welcome to your mini reading, which is going to look at the energies of the upcoming Taurus solar eclipse that we've got on the 30th of April, and it's going to take us into a new 6-month cycle, kind of moving into October, November. So I thought it might be fun for my newsletter subscribers to just do little mini readings for each of the signs, so that you can see some of the upcoming themes, the potential sort of themes that might be kind of activated for you by this event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the illuminated playing card deck, and I'm going to pull three cards from both decks, both the solar and the lunar deck, because this is a combined, this is a solar lunar event, just to kind of get a sense of some of the energies that might be in play for you, both internally and externally, over the next 6 months or so. And we'll do it for the three kind of main areas of your life, so the personal, the professional, and then your love life. So, and then towards the end, I will pull some advice from you, from the Splendor Solis Tarot and the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck, just to sort of finish the reading off. So let's see what comes through. Now, all of the readings have been super interesting, quite different, which is good to see. So this is going to be kind of personal, this is going to be professional, and this is going to be more sort of matters of the heart, but all from a kind of a psychological or subconscious type of perspective, because we're talking about the moon here. And then the sun. So this will be more about people, places, or events that may kind of occur during the 6-month period that are designed to move you in a new direction, or to maybe that are due to new karmic contracts starting, that type of thing. I mean, there's a lot of Uranus energy in this eclipse, so that usually is a harbinger of change or of kind of unexpected plot twists. Plus we've got that Venus-Jupiter conjunction, which is pairing up with both Pluto and Mercury, and both of those can bring in change as well. So a lot happening, I think, over the next 6 months. Should be quite eventful. Okay, so those are your main cards. Let's quickly get your advice, and then we'll start the reading. So for you, this eclipse happens, I'm trying to think, Pisces, so I think it might be your, is it your second or your third house? I can't remember now. I think you just check the forecast that I did for YouTube, the astrological forecast, because that's got the cheat sheet in it, and that will tell you what house this particular eclipse falls in. I'm not using houses for this system, for this reading, so you can read it if you are either Pisces Sun or Rising. Okay, so that's going to be your lunar card, and then let's get your solar one. As I've said in almost all the readings, this is such a cumbersome deck to shuffle. It's unbelievable. That's why I don't use it very often. But I thought, given that it's got such wonderfully rich alchemical symbolism on it and imagery, that it might be nice for a forecast that's as long range as this, you know, kind of 6 months. Alright, so let's get the top card. Put that over there. Alright, I have to make sure everything is sort of lined up. Okay, we're going to start here on the left. Wow, nice. 4 of Wands. Queen of Cups. Wow, the Nine of Cups has come out again. This is the 4th time it's come out in these readings, so that's pretty incredible. Definitely a lot of luck around, I think, over the next 6 months or so with that Venus-Jupiter energy. So, yes, let's start on the left. So this is kind of personal development, like changes that you might want to make to your appearance, to your lifestyle, etc. So this is kind of more general energy. And it's interesting, it does seem as though you are kind of ready for a fresh start here, with particularly with the Fool in your kind of lunar space. So you're feeling ready for a change, you're feeling kind of brave and open to sort of taking risks or taking a leap of faith in a new direction, and that's good, because it looks as though good times are definitely ahead. There's going to be reason to celebrate. It could be that you've got some meetings with friends or family up ahead, and maybe a wedding possibly. It could also be that you make a decision to cross a threshold on some level, so it's possible that you might be kind of taking the next step up in terms of career. But I think more than likely what it's going to be about is some kind of commitment in your romantic life. And I mean, it's interesting, we've got the Nine of Cups here, so there's definitely wish fulfillment available for you when it comes to matters of the heart. Looking really, really positive there. This is kind of happiness and you know, wish fulfillment. So I think you're feeling ready for that change or that commitment, feeling very optimistic about the future, and it's good because it looks as though good times, as I say, are ahead, reason to celebrate. When it comes to career, it looks as though you've had to kind of overcome some difficulties or challenges, particularly internally, and it might have to do with competition from like colleagues or other candidates when it comes to jobs or kind of winning contracts, because we've got the Five of Wands in reverse here, and this is very often about competition or feeling that you have to kind of like be quite combative, you know, when it comes to fighting to be seen or to be seen as the right person for the job. But because it's in reverse, I kind of feel as though you're moving away from that energy now. You're making a deliberate choice to move away from that energy and to sort of come into a more peaceful and harmonious place emotionally. And I think that that's going to really help you to get the success that you need when it comes to career. Because in the external world, we've got the Queen of Cups, and this could be somebody coming in. It could be a new boss or a colleague or a mentor, possibly somebody who's quite caring and compassionate, someone who's going to be able to help you to move more into a heart space, to come from a less like ego driven or kind of conflict ridden approach to sort of more of a kind of cooperative way of working. And I think this is really going to kind of make you, first of all, feel happier, and secondly, it's going to benefit your career because you're going to get on with colleagues better, and there's just going to be more harmony and flow when it comes to work life, which is nice. And then when it comes to love and matters of the heart, it looks to me as though, you know, as I say, there is this potential for wish fulfillment coming in the external world. So definitely an opportunity to either meet the right partner or to take a situation and sort of further. But I think what it's going to require is for you to overcome internal conflict or a sense of ambivalence here with the Knight of Wands. Very often the Knight of Wands blows hot and cold, and so can sometimes self-sabotage or be a bit commitment shy. So here for the good time, not the long time, or tending to sort of like, it can be a bit of that like fearful avoidant type of energy where things are very high octane and exciting one minute and then you kind of run away the next. So it may be something that you need to kind of work on, maybe, you know, sort of reprogramming subconscious patterns, or just looking a little bit more closely at any kind of internal ambivalence so that it doesn't sabotage like definite opportunities for happiness here with this Nine of Cups. Let's look at your advice now. Yeah, so in every moment the universe is conspiring to bring me toward right-minded thinking and the energy of love. Yes, so I really feel that this is pertaining to both work and to love life. So moving in the direction of kind of right-minded thinking, in other words, right brain thinking, which the Queen of Cups is quite good at, and thinking in terms of the energy of love, which I think will help you to overcome this inner ambivalence and move into very fulfilling, like happy situations if you allow yourself to, particularly, as I say, with this, it's kind of backed up or reflected here by this Four of Wands. So I think, you know, really your focus needs to be on moving into more cooperative, settled energy that is less fearful, less ambivalent, less about the short term and more about the flow and kind of the long term, if you like. And then your solar energy is the alchemy of the Queen of Swords. So in the Splendor Solis Tarot, this is known as the Priestess Queen of Sparkling Air. So this is air, the air element. And I mean, have a look at the card. It's a lot of yellow, which is beautiful, sunny energy and very like upbeat and optimistic. And I think that's what you are being asked, you know, to kind of cultivate. But what's so interesting is that in the tarot, the Queen of Swords is often about someone who is no nonsense and who has good boundaries, who doesn't put up with nonsense. And it may be that on some level that you have to be like that with yourself. So, you know, kind of practicing more internal self-discipline so that you don't kind of keep getting involved in arguments or drama, you know, in your career, and don't sort of like self-sabotage with this hot and cold, this seesawing energy of the Knight of Wands. But let's see what the booklet says, because very often the interpretations are quite different, you know, in this particular system, because it's quite alchemical, and it also brings into play the Tree of Life, so Kabbalah. So the Priestess Queen of Sparkling Air. Yeah, okay. So I am Priestess Queen of Sparkling Air, inner alchemy of the Queen of Swords. I awaken keen observation and perceptions that transcend illusion. Your thoughts will sweep aside dull perceptions, revealing the fine colours within, radiant within the true symbols that they are clothing. Dear alchemist, through me sublime vision enters your thinking. I guide the Queen's courtly role as ruler of sylphs, subtle peoples of air. Work with us, receive inspiring vision of bright daemons, leading through thought high above the clouds. So this is a lot about inspiration. As temple celebrant of Sparkling Air's great praise, my throne is at the heart of the East, where the great Aquarian calls for new kinds of thought, and spring festivals celebrate the alchemical dews of May. And of course that's just around the corner, so that lunar eclipse that we've got in Scorpio might be important for you, Pisces, because it is in a fellow water sign. I preside over all ceremonies of the sparkling air, receiving and patterning the formative mind force of the great composition. Practice my visionary arts, awaken thoughts of the beautiful and the true. So this is kind of beauty is truth, truth, beauty, which is, if that, like that Keats poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn. Cultivate their presence and they will be your frequent guests. Sustain your vision and they will stay and serve you well, becoming the living beings of good habit. Each moment of time has its attendant daemon. Beneath the drab garb of poorly crafted habits awaits the dearest freshness. I will help you restoring, awakening your peoples to their true radiant status. So it's interesting, it does seem to be about changing your thoughts, and that those are the habits that they are talking about here with sparkling air. So revisioning your thoughts, thinking like positive thoughts, thinking happy thoughts, and that this will help to kind of move you into a really lovely space where good things really can happen, Pisces. A lot of positivity in this reading, so I think you've got a lot to look forward to here if you are able to sort of move yourself into the right space psychologically, if you like. So I hope that's been helpful. As I say, I will be doing personal forecasts for those who order from my shop or from the links that I provide in my newsletter. So check those out if you're interested in something a bit more detailed and as I say, personal. But I hope this has helped and that it has given you something to look forward to. And yes, wishing you all the very best for this upcoming 6-month cycle.